Good afternoon, everybody. Today is the last day of the third season of the presentations of semester 3 students. Today, you all are going to make presentations on literary theory and criticism, specifically contemporary Western theories and film studies. So let us start with the first presenter, Yashraj. You can come and make your first presentation.
Shall I start? Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I am YASHRAJSINH SODHA, and today I am going to make my presentation on the divide of wealth, Marxism, and class conflict in Parasite. Parasite is a movie. This is my personal information. First of all, let's discuss what is Marxism. Marxism was developed by the Karl Marx and Frederick Engels in the mid-19th century. It critiques the capitalism and societal structures. It includes the philosophy of philosophical view of human nature and theory of history. It emphasizes the class struggle as a key force to the history. Its goal is the classless society with collective ownership of all the production that is available on the earth. Here are some major works that is considered as a pioneer work of the Marxism: the German ideology, the Communist Manifesto, the 18th Brumaire of the Louis Bonaparte, and Das Kapital. Now let's discuss about the Parasite movie, which was directed by Bong Joon-ho. Screenplay with the same director and Han Jin-woo. A story by Bong Joon-ho, same director. Produced by Quen Si, Moon Young-kwon, and Bong Joon-ho and Chan Yung-han. And starring, we can also find edited by, and the country we find the South Korea, and language is Korean. Now my research question is, how does the Parasite movie reflect the Marxist concept of class struggle in the critique of systematic inequalities between the proletariat and bourgeoisie through its portrayal of wealth and social dynamics? Hypothesis of this presentation in Paradise, Bong Joon-ho uses the stark contrast between the Kim and Park families. There I talk about the two families, one is poor and one is rich. To demonstrate the inherent equalities of the class system, illustrating how systematic class conflict perpetuates societal divisions and fuels the tension, ultimately challenging the notion of upward mobility within the capitalist framework. Now, in the article, Jia Martira, Sri Malyutri, and Marcindra Menon, the article name is Class Conflict in Parasite Film Using the Marxist Criticism, argues following point. Parasite explores the Marxist theme of wealth divide, class, and conflict. Here you can find the house of the poor family and the rich family. So it contrasts the lives of the wealthy Park family, which house you can find below, highlights the class division, Park family, and the struggling of Kim family. The Kim family's infiltration of the Park household highlights the class division and the systematic power dynamics. The title Parasite symbolizes the Kim family's parasitic relationship, reflecting the Marxist view of proletariat and exploitation of the bourgeoisie. Now, if you haven't watched the movie, though, it is going to be a spoiler for you. So it is like the story of the two family. It is Kim and Park family. The Park family is very rich and the Kim family is very poor. Now, Kim family tries to get some of the money and wants to live life of the bourgeoisie, like rich people. So how he manages into the movie and how they get into some criminal activities also through that. So that we are going to discuss today. And now, representation of the Kim family as a proletariat. Like proletariat is the term used by the people who is marginalized. The Kim family is cramped in the apartment, symbolizes their lower class and struggles that you can see in the photographs. The financial instability of the need of schemes reflect the working class challenging in a capitalistic system. The film humanizes the Kim family, highlighting their intelligence, creativity, and the resilience. When we see the first movie, we find that Parasite is like a Kim family who is dependent on the rich family. But when we apply this Marxist argument, Marxist theory, there we can find that the real parasites are not the proletariat, but the bourgeoisie, who is the rich people who is exploiting their workers. So that theory we can find that in the Kim family's manipulation of the Marx family shows the extreme measures of the working class takes to survive. What type of things they have to do to survive in the society. The film emphasizes the Kim family's resourcefulness and proletariat ability to resist the oppression. Next, the representation of the Park family, bourgeoisie, which is the rich family. The Park family luxury contrasts sharply with the Kim's family's poverty. Architects, layout, and the lighting highlight the class divide. Here you can find the house of that rich family. You can surely contrast between the poor and the rich. The Park's indifferences reflect the bourgeoisie's lack of empathy and the proletariat. The exploration of the Kim shows the bourgeoisie's manipulation of labor. The film critiques the bourgeoisie's disregard for the working class struggles. What type of struggles they have to face day-to-day life, that is can be seen in this movie. In the same article, the argument is also given the class struggle in the turning points. What type of outcome comes out from this? The escalating class conflict ends in the violence, symbolizing the tension of the capitalist society. Marx also argues that if this type of society grows, then also violence will be there. The hidden bunker represents the ignored and the struggle of the working class. That is one bunker that is situated below that the house, the rich family that living. The film critiques the capitalism, proletariat exploitation, and the barriers of the social mobility aligning with the Marxism. The chaotic climax highlights the unpredictability of the conflict and power struggles. The lack of resolution reflects the ongoing struggle between the bourgeoisie and proletariat. Movie does not give any particular answer to any question of the Marxist philosophy or the question that arises from the capitalistic society. That shows that the struggle is still going on. In the another article, class struggle in the Bon June's host, film Parasite and analysis of the using Marxism. Natasha Fedrian, Didik Sucheyu, and Ida Vardani argues following points. Impacts of the class struggle in the Parasite. The Kim's infiltration of the Park household reflect the jealousy and desperation. All the poor wants to live the rich life. All want their rights to be fulfilled. All wants to live the happy life. So that when we find class struggle breeds the greed, deception, and the violence in the movie. The replacing the Park servants shows the Kim's aspiration for the upper class life. They also want to live same houses like the Park family is living. Violence highlights the low classes' desperation to challenge privilege. The climax reveals this explosive nature of the class conflict. What type of outcome can we get from this type of class struggle from the capitalistic society? The film underscores the systematic inequality and the difficulty in bridging the class division. The same aspect is also showing that the specific behavior of the upper class towards the lower class. Now, in the first point, you can say the Park's distance of the Kim's male reflect the superiority of the lack of empathy. Here, you can first picture you can find the one person is like squeezing the nose to hide himself from the smell of that one person. So that is showing that how the bourgeoisie people see the proletariat. Their obsession with the cleanliness shows the class-based prejudice and detachment. Stair symbolizes the divide and the Kims in the basement and the parks of their mansions. Stairs plays the very vital role as a symbol to shows the hierarchy of the society and class of the society. The Park's dismissal of the Kims highlight the dehumanizing impact of the class discrimination. Dehumanizing, not understanding the other human as a human being. That can be shown in the same movie. In the conclusion, we can say the Parasite explores the Marxist concept of contrasting the Kim, proletariat, and Park, bourgeoisie families to examine wealth and class conflict. The film highlights the systematic challenges faced by the working class and their desperate attempt to infiltrate the wealthy. The climatic events emphasize the tension and unpredictability of the class conflict with no clear resolution. In the end, we don't get any resolution. The Parasite critiques the wealth inequalities and social static friction offering the relevant commentary on the class dynamics. I have used the Claude AI to organize the content and for the spelling checking. And the slides I have taken from the slideshow. And these are my references. Thank you. So if anyone wants to ask any question from here, so I'm open. If no, then in the form. Yes.
So yes, would you suggest other movie example that also reflect Marxism?
Yes. Other movie that also find the Marxist theory. One movie that in the film study I have made the video on. It is the Fight Club. It is first. It was a novel, and then it was adapted by the movie. So in the Fight Club, we find that the class struggle in the capitalistic society, the critique of the critical this capitalistic society, we find that. And in the 90s Bollywood cinema, we also find the movies of Amitabh Bachchan. I think the Kala Patthar movie was also there. So there we also find the class conflict there. Yes. So that is from my side. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself ASHA RATHOD. I am going to present the topic Deconstruction and the Yale School Deconstruct in Practice. So these are my personal information. These are the research questions. What are the key concepts and methodologies employed by deconstructionist critique, and how do they differ from traditional approach to literary analysis? And these are my hypotheses. So the Yale School of Criticism. The Yale School is a term commonly used to describe the work of five outstanding scholars, which was one Harold Bloom, Paul Deman, Jacques Derrida, Geoffrey Hartman, and J. Hills Miller. So located in a department of French and comparative literature and of English at Yale University between 1972 and 1980. And it's also referred to the Yale School of Deconstruction, or even as the American Deconstruction in general. In while they men use the term deconstruction, the both Derrida and Miller remain aligned with this term throughout their writing. The connection between Bloom and Hartman and deconstruction is less obvious. The only significant volumes produced by the Yale Quintet together is the collection of essays, Deconstruction and Criticism, in which each critic contributes an essay of Shelley's The Theme of Life. So first we will discuss Harold Bloom. I am not going all only highlighted point. Harold Bloom's is an example of influence, has cast its own long shadow of influence since it was first published in 1973, and Bloom's put forth his central vision of the relation between traditional and individualities. T.S. Eliot also said the concept of essay of a traditional and individual artist. So Bloom asserted that the anxiety of influence come out a complex act of strong misreading, a creative interpretation he called poetic misprision. The influence anxiety does not so much concern the forerunner, but rather it an anxiety achieving in and by the story, novel, poem, or essay also. Next, Paul Deman. So here there is a biography. He was a Bengal bomb literature critic and literary theory. So he main argue of essay can be stated as follow, that the ground of literary meaning and must be located in a rhetoric rather than in any of the other possible dimension. and but rhetorical reading cannot guarantee authority over interpretations. Therefore, there is no authority that can guarantee reading. This doesn't license us to read a text just anywhere we want to. So it's not only reading of the text, but there are many of interpretation in that. So rather it commit us to reading that take full account of the possibility and limit of a reading and writing generally. And then Jacques Derrida, he was a founder of Deconstruction in way of critique not only both literary and philosophical texts but also political institution. And Derrida usually change the term orthography. For example, writing difference and difference. In that difference, DIFFERENC and difference, DIFFERNC. So difference meaning something to not match and similar to other. In order to indicate the change in its status, difference which is found in appearances when we recognize their temporary nature, then refers to the undesirable resource into which metaphysics cut in order to make its decision. In his 1993 Spectres of Marx, where Derrida insists that a deconstructed Marxist through it's still relevant to today's world despite globalization, and that a deconstructed Marxism constitutes in a new Marxism and Marxism of a democracy of form. And for Geoffrey Hartman, he was who opposed that Anglo-American formalist brought contentious truth to North American literary criticism and champion criticism as a creative act. And in that essay, Hartman regarding that criticism as inside literature, not outside. That criticism has a own beauty. Literature has an own beauty. That best argue in this essay one crossing over literature commentary and literature. He argued that critical reading should not seek meaning but should reveal the contradiction and equivocation in a text. And Hartman rejected the death of the subject and idea of ultimate free play. For Hartman, the Derridian notion of the completely disable is unacceptable. Joseph Hills Miller, he was a concept of one the critic as a host, and that he proposed in journal Critic Inquiry, third volume published in 1977, could be viewed as a reply to MHR, and that Abrams has argued that there is a fixed invocal meaning for the text, that if we use construction strategies, history will become an impossibility. Miller replied that in invocal and determinated meaning in an impossible as history also is. And Miller being the essay with a crucial question that when a text contains a citation from another text, it is like a parasite in a main text, or it is the main text that surrounded and struggle the citation. Many people tend to see the deconstruction reading as a parasite on its source, the in vocal reading. So deconstruction is what created has been profoundly influenced by French philosopher Jacques Derrida, and that Derrida who coined the term, that he argued that Western culture people tend to think and express their thought in terms of a binary opposition like white and black, masculine and feminine and cause effect, conscious and unconscious, and present and absent, speech and writing. And that Derrida suggests this oppositional hierarchy in a miniature contently one term that Western culture views as a positive or superior. And deconstruction involves the close reading of text in order to demonstrate that any given text has a inconlability, contradictory meaning, and rather than being a unfined logical word. In deconstruction in practice, here I put one sloka of Bhagavad Gita, and that Mahi Path Vyashipta Yedapishu Papayona Stiyo Veshastata Shudrasta Yanti Param Gatin. In that, translated by in O son of Partha, here Partha of Arjun, those who take shelter in me is Lord Krishna, and that through they be lower birth and woman Vyas and Quadras can attain the supreme distinguish. In there are four varna of that Vaishya, Shudra, Brahma, and Kshatri. That coming from hierarchy in the text. So in one Prabhupada write in his first book of 7th sloka of 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it did. Now in the Manu Samhita is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. So everyone know that woman, patriarchal, India is a patriarchal society, and woman cannot do whatever we want. So actually a woman should be given protection at every stage of life, and she should be given protection by the father in her younger days, by the husband in her youth, and by the grown up sons in her old age. This is proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita. In that also put his a concept of a womanly life and marriage, concept of marriage, that patriarchally now an imagination in human society. In Saman viewer, it was different in her the second sex, in that few tasks are more like the torture of Sisyphus. You all know that idea of a myth of Sisyphus, that house with endless repetition, the clean become soil, and the soil is made clean and over day after the day. Here are more quotations from the second sex by Simon de Beauvoir. The curse which lies upon marriage is that too often the individual are joined in their weakness rather than in their strength, which asking from the other instead of finding pleasure is in giving. And to be feminine is to show oneself as a weak, fertile, passive, and decoy. The girl is supposed to not only the print and dress herself up, but also to repress her spontaneity and substitute for it the grace and charm she has been taught by her elder sister, and any self-assertion will taken away from her femininity and her seductiveness. A woman is shut up in a kitchen or in a bounded, and assessment is expressed that her origin is limited. Her wings are clipped, and it is found deplorable that she cannot fly. Let but the future be open to her, and she will no longer be completed to linger in the present. And to catch a husband is an art, to hold him is a job. These are my works cited. Thank you. Now you can ask questions.
My question is, does analyzing a text mean completely interpreting it in one way?
So not it's not a text completely interpreting in one way, because deconstruction main aim to dismantle the text and hierarchy. for the example of binary opposition, good or evil, in that good implies on always a concept of evil. So it's not analyzing complete interpretation. There are many interpretation of text.
ASHA, how does deconstruction challenge traditional literary
Deconstruction challenges traditional literary analysis by idea of only single text or fixed meaning instead of language has contradiction and hierarchy and leading to multiple interpretation. That one example is sun is shining. In that shining, the word might be pointed out that deconstructionist that shining implies of word light and brightness. So it's only say simple word and positive sentence on these challenges. So this.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is DIVYA. In the last day of our presentation, and I am going to deal with post-colonial feminism in the Indian context. This is my personal information. These are the points which I discussed today. The research question arises while we discuss about post-colonial feminism as a theoretical framework, instead with the lived experience of women in India. And the hypothesis deals with that how post-colonial feminism theory provides a valuable lens to analyze the unique challenges faced by Indian women, particularly those from marginalized communities, and the challenges of patriarchal and colonial power structure that continue to shape their lives. Now the introduction. The first women movements begins with the struggle of political rights in history. When women acquired their political rights, they begin to struggle for being equal in social life, occupational life, and various aspects of life. And over the years, the perspective or the perception of feminism have emerged. The post-colonial feminist theory, which emerged under the conjuncture, was a reaction to our Western feminism, the idea of Western feminism, because it only concerned the problem of white and Western women, and rather than the post-colonial feminism, that idea which was focused on the women during the time of post-colonialism, which was reflect the idea of the colonized and colonized power. The only struggle point of Western feminism that to a gender and patriarchy, and on the other hand, the post-colonial feminism emphasized the third world women are exposed to the racism, deconstruction, discrimination, poverty, lack of education. These are the theory which reflect by the women who are the third world country or emphasized as the inferior. Now that what is feminism? Feminism is the theory, as we know that it is the feminism which emerged in West, result of the gender inequality, women exposed by and the unequal rights when compared to men. And the feminism, it reflects the idea of definition, which reflect the political, ideological, and socially driven movements, which was disgregant and establish equality between sex and all of basis of human's life as a social movement. The main characteristic or the idea that as a social movement, how the feminism in contemporary time reflect the various barrier, or how can various kind of boundaries or struggle faced by women in contemporary time. This includes the characteristic like equal pay in workplace, reproductive rights, women's suffrage, the idea of voting, and the right to an education, RTE, which was I think in 2005, and the right to own property. This right to own property, which was the I think emerged in Indian Constitution by the Hindu occasional succession in 1956. The definition by the Cambridge Dictionary, the belief that women should be allowed the same rights, power, and opportunity as men and be treated in the same way as men, or the set of activities intended to achieve this state. Now, the main points that what is post-colonial feminism? The post-colonial feminism is a branch of feminist and that developed in 1980 as a part of third wave of feminism. The feminine perspective, there is a fourth wave, and third wave which emphasize on the idea of gender inequalities, in which we find that emergence of post-colonial feminism as a branch of feminism. That purpose was that to decolonizing feminist activism, highlighting the experience and of individuals who have encountered gender-based discrimination and oppression from global south in feminist discourse. And the post-colonial feminism encouraged us to look beyond whitewashing and consider how the experience of gender variant individual and women of color encounter and structural inequality which was faced by women, existence of oppressive structure such as patriarchy, racism, the long-term effects of colonialism. Now, the history of post-colonial feminism in India, that how during the time of British colonialism, as we find that of idea of post-colonialism, and later on after free from these old boundaries, how the India the rule under the rule of British colonialism export to the Western idea, spark a culture defense as a movement in India. During the first wave of feminism in 19th century, reform to aim to create a new progressive society for women and independence. During the independence movement in 1974, women actively participate and gaining experience in public sphere and reflect their goal and their contribution in various kind of field. And the second wave of feminism during the 1970s, educated middle class women address borders issue and reflect the idea of how the women of mid 19th or 17th century they contribute in the literary field. And third wave of feminism and during the continuing time or contemporary time focus on post-structuralist interpretation of gender and sexuality. Now, the main point of my presentation is that how post-colonial feminism in Indian context, or how reflect the post-colonialism idea in Indian context in various kind of field. First, that how women education and health opportunities, as the Indian Constitution mandates free and compulsory education for all children age to the 16 or 14. Compulsory education for our child in India. However, the literary rates vary regionally, with males compared to males that are typically more literate than females. Women's education is still undervalued in some parts of India, in which Kerala has a high female literacy in percentage of 92.7, while Bihar in the lower position that of 51.15. And we reflect and we emphasize on the health opportunity. There is the reflection of early marriage in India. It particularly among all girls, India has the highest number of child marriage globally, within 24 millions compared to other countries. And the report on implementation of Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action in 2019 for women, it reflects that how the health opportunity of women or the health condition, women's limited power in many cultures negatively impacts their nutrition and their health. Now, women employment. A majority of working women are employed in informal sector, lacking job security, fair wages, and basic labor rights, as we find in contemporary times that how women employment or working women faces this kind of problems. And third world women are often relegated, low wages, labor intensive, and hazardous jobs in both formal or informal sectors. And that's why we find that what kind of hazardous kind of action emerge in our country and our society. Now, the women in local politics. India's 73rd and 74th amendments, which reflect that a one-third reservation for women in local governments, leading to a substantial increase in their political representation. In surfage of women, the idea of voting in India's 73rd and 74th amendments of constitutions has increased the political representation of women and their contribution in the politics. Now, the women's political participation in India. India granted women to right vote in 1970, while internationally find that right for vote for women in 1920, earlier than many other countries. Leaders like Indira Gandhi emerged as prominent figures in India politics, and as a prominent figure who was known as the first women prime minister of India. United Nations Declaration and international organization influenced women's rights and political participation in India. Women's participation in Lok Sabha, India's parliament, has steadily increased since 1952. Nowadays, in 2019, women had 15% of the seat in Lok Sabha. These are the percentage of women in Lok Sabha, which was analyzed by the Hindu News in 2020. Now, the crimes against women. India's constitution guarantees women's right and follow the idea that the women are facing various kind of crimes, and state has enacted laws to ensure unequal rights and prevent discrimination and violence against women. And that's why we find the day after day or generation after day, there is generation to the generation various kind of act which was organized by our constitution. This was emerged because of day before day we find how the various kind of crimes like acid attack, bigamy or polygamy, and cyber crimes, which was the significant part because of media and AI. And crimes specifically targeting women are characterized as crimes against women. New laws and amendments have been introduced to address these crimes in Indian society or the constitutions. Now, the conclusion. India's unique social culture context makes women experience distinct from Western women. Despite challenges like race, rape, violence, and patriarchal structure, Indian women are actively seek equality and justice. And India's post-colonial history and feminist thought continue to influence global discussion on gender inequality. By uniting across religious, racial, and identity lines, women can collectively amplify their voice and fight for empowerment. And this is my resources or references. Now, anyone have a question regarding? Feel free to ask me.
As you mentioned in the PPT, women's political participation, what challenges still persist for women in India?
Despite from political participation, still there is various kind of challenges found by women in India. As we are women, we find that deep-rooted biases from our society or the social or economical instability and social biases. These all are the kind which reflect the challenges persist for the women in India nowadays also. Anyone else?
Divya, how does India's early adaptation of women's suffrage compare to other countries?
Okay, as I mentioned that India's early adaptation for women's suffrage, Indian women are find the rights for voting in 1970 compared to international other women are fine to vote for in 1920. After the independent, Indian women find the suffrage rights. I think this was the idea which reflect that free from boundaries, and it reflect the roots of education, qualification, and equality. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself HEMALI PARMAR. Today I am going to give presentation on Beyond Borders, Feminist Movements and Their Challenges. Here is my personal information. My research question is, how do feminist movements across diverse cultural contexts navigate unique challenges while striving for gender equality and social justice? My hypothesis is feminist movements adapt to cultural, religious, and socio-political contexts, utilizing intersectional approaches to challenge patriarchy and promote gender equality while addressing localized issues such as colonial legacies, sovereignty, and nationalism. Introduction to feminism. Feminism was defined as advocacy of the rights of women based on the theory of equality of the sexes. The term feminism comes from the French feminism. It was coined in the 19th century. In this, there are three waves. First wave was focused on women's suffrage and legal rights. Its time period is 19th century to early 20th century. Second wave was advocated for equality in education, workplace, and family life. Its time period is 1960s to 1970s. Third wave was focused on identity politics, including race, class, and other differences between women. Feminism can be seen as empowering or divisive depending on one's viewpoint. Islamic feminism in Iran, reinterpreting Islam. Feminists in Iran study Islamic texts in a new way, focusing on their historical context. They challenge traditional religious leaders and offer feminist ideas. They reject strict gender roles and anti-Western views. They build connections with Western feminism to share ideas. Women from all backgrounds work to regain their lost rights. They demand to be treated as equal citizens. Creating new ideas, they combine Islamic beliefs with feminist ideas to promote equality. They introduce a fresh way of thinking about gender and Islam. Many women risk their jobs, families, and safety for equality. Their efforts are changing feminism in Iran and inspiring others. Amina Mama and African feminism. Amina Mama was a leading African feminist scholar and was chair of gender studies at the University of Cape Town. She focuses on gender analysis in African politics, social relations, and subjectivity. She challenges Western feminist frameworks and local patriarchy. Her major works are The Hidden Struggle and Beyond the Mask. She addresses unique struggles of African women, focusing on colonialism, race, and patriarchal system. She emphasizes the intersection of gender, culture, and post-colonial identity. She advocates for women's roles in politics and social movements, promoting African feminist voices and empowerment. Native American feminism and sovereignty. Andrea Smith's experience. Andrea Smith was a rape crisis counselor. She observed that sexual violence in native communities is tied to the legacy of genocide and colonization. Smith highlights the need to address both colonial violence and gender violence in Native American feminist framework. Native women's activism combines feminist struggles with the fight for sovereignty, challenging both gender oppression and colonialism. Smith calls for a deeper, more nuanced understanding of Native American feminism that recognizes its dual struggle for gender equality and sovereignty. Arab feminism and its challenges. Arab feminists address the intersection of nationalism, religion, and colonialism, challenging Western imposed ideas like liberal feminism. They critique simplistic portrayals of Arab women as oppressed and emphasize the diversity of their experiences. Key debates focus on how colonialism, socioeconomics, and Islam shape women's lives. Arab feminists work to balance women's rights, nationalist struggles, and Islamic movements, especially in diaspora communities. Conclusion. In conclusion, feminism across cultures reflects diverse struggles against patriarchy and systemic oppression, from reinterpreting Islamic texts in Iran to addressing colonial legacies in Africa, linking sovereignty with gender equality in Native American communities, and navigating nationalism and religion in Arab contexts. These movements highlight women's resilience despite unique challenges. They share a common goal of equality, showcasing the transformative power of intersectional feminism. Here are works cited. Thank you. If anyone has questions, feel free to ask.
HEMALI, my question is that how is Islamic feminism different from Western feminism?
Islamic feminism was said that focusing on Islamic teaching to say the women's rights. Islamic feminism was connect feminism with religion, while Western feminism are saying Western feminism said that Western feminism focuses on gender equality without connecting it with religion.
Can feminism work across different cultures?
Yes, feminism can work across different cultures, but it needs to understand the value of each country, each culture, and the different people faces different problems. So that feminism needs to understand different people's different problem. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself JATIN, and today I'm going a presentation on digital humanities. My topic is from text to tech, how digital humanities revolutionize the learning. Hypothesis of my presentation: digital humanities have the potential to transform traditional education by providing innovative tools for learning, enhancing students' engagement, and fostering interdisciplinary research through the challenges like digital divide and adaptability remain. Research question of this presentation is: how does digital humanities tools enhance the student engagement and learning outcomes in higher education compared to traditional methods of teaching? Table of contents. What is digital humanities? Combination of humanities and technology. Digital humanities mostly focus on merge the traditional humanities with modern digital tools and techniques. Digitalization of resource. Its focus on the digitalization of traditional materials like books, manuscript, and Asian culture architects, and make them available online. Development of tools and methods creates the tools for better understanding, organizing, and analyze the digital content such as data visualization software and digital archive. Interdisciplinary approach encourage the collaboration between fields like literature, history, media study, computer science, and culture. Digital humanities open the doors of collaboration, and it's support the collaboration of with literature, with history, and media study with computer science and any other subjects. Challenges and opportunity tackles issue like digital divided, ethical consideration of technology uses, and the need of inclusive representation in digital space. Digital humanity in education improves the teaching method. Digital humanity improves the method. It's break a traditional education method and provide some tools like a digital board, computer and phone, and some online access course also. And it's provide a wider and global education towards students. Interdisciplinary learning, it's not stuck students on particular subject. It's also opened the door of with a collaboration with other subject like literature with history and history with computer science. And the best example of interdisciplinary learning is when you learn hypertext novel is in novel we find the sentence like Arjun played a vital role in Mahabharata. So if Arjun, the words of highlighted by, and if it was a hypertext, then when you click on it and you get all information about the Arjun. This type of it's open the door of wide information, expand accessibility, provides access of digital archive, ebooks, and multimedia content, making education accessible to a broader audience and worldwide. Enhance the research opportunity, support the advanced research techniques such as the data mining, hospital analysis, and simulate and uncover a new insight of humanities. Promote a digital literacy. Help students and educators develop an instant digital skill, preparing them to a modern technological demands and academic and beyond. Traditional education versus digital education. Accessibility. When we talk about the traditional education limited to specific location, it's limited to a specific location and time. And on the other hand, it's digital education accessible from anywhere and anytime also. It's in a traditional education, we find a fixed schedule of any institute and university, and we work according to their schedules and time. But on the other hand, it's flexible for anytime and anywhere. Flexibility is the same topic. When we talk about the traditional education, it's stuck us and on the boundaries of timing, and on the other hand, it's digital education. It's more available and balancing works and our family and other community also. Cost in traditional education, we find it's a more costly due to its infrastructure and due to our travel, and it's more time consuming also due to our travel timing. And on the other hand, in digital education, you get anywhere and any time which you suitable on you. Course variety limited to offering a local and regional institution. In traditional education, we find there are professor and teachers only teach a book which provided by university and text which provided by university or any other institution. But in a digital education, you get wider literature, and you access all the literature from other university also. Career and skill focused on theoretical knowledge and foundational. In other hand, offers a practical and career focused course, certification and upskilling options. Advantage of digital education: interactive learning. Digital tools such as the multimedia simulation and games create a dynamic learning environment with visual and integrative features makes a complex topic easier to understand and keeping students engaged. Flexibility, when we talk about it, it's available on your time, and when you want, you get an education. It's not stuck in boundaries of timing. Accessibility, you can access whenever you want and which your location, which according your timing also. Cost effectiveness, digital education reduce the expense of physical books. In digital education, we find the apps like Google Keep and Google Doc and Notes replace the paper, and is provide digital form of any novel and any text. Personalized learning. In digital learning, you find that when you have any doubt or regarding any topic, you get easily access and on internet, and you solve your doubt according to your time. Skill development. In digital learning, we find we break the way of traditional learning, so it's open the door for more skill development. Like when you study on online, then you grow some skill like virtual meeting and virtual communication also. Eco-friendly approach, as we talk about, he reduced the expense of paper, and he's helped to save the paper with replace it with Google Docs and Google Keeps. encourage collaboration, online education tools forced to a teamwork through a shared document, group chat, and collaborative project, breaking down the traditional classroom environment. When we talk about the advantage, then it's also come with some disadvantage also. A health concern, when you get education from a screen, it's usually increase your screen time also, and its effect on your eyes and is create a eyes problem, and also effect on your sleep cycle also. Distraction risk, when you get education in virtually, then on your screen sometimes you find there are one pop-up message also, and when you click on it, and then it's a lead towards another tab, and sometimes you on this tab you get some misinformation also, and some time consuming application or detail also. Digital divide, equally access to a technology and interest resource creates a gap between a student from different socioeconomic background. Reduce social interaction, over reliance on digital tools may diminishing face-to-face interaction, affecting social skill and economical development. Quality concern, digital content may be lack depth, interactive or consumerized, making it less effective for certain subject. Dependence on technology, usually digital learning mostly depend on technology. If you live in some lower area or network issue area, then you totally not get a benefit of a digital education also. Environmental impact, through the sale of paper we mostly generate some e-waste also. Cybersecurity issue, the major concern of the digital education is major issue is cyber security, and sometimes you afraid from cyber fraud also. Conclusion, digital humanities are transforming education by combining technology with traditional methods, in enhancing engagement and accessibility, while it's offer benefits like interactive learning and better resource access. Challenges such as the digital divide remains. Overall, digital humanities have the potential to revolutionize the education and making more dynamic and inclusive. There are resources of my presentation. Thank you. Now, if you have any question regarding it, feel free to ask.
My question is that in what ways does digital storytelling improve accessibility and engage audience more effectively than traditional storytelling techniques?
In traditional storytelling technique, when we talk about the traditional method, then there is one man who told the story and he provide the information which he have. But when you go with digital storytelling, then you access and you can cross-check also the story and you get more information rather than traditional storytelling. So this is the advantage of digital storytelling.
In your opinion, which education system is most relevant and effective in addressing the needs of contemporary society?
In my opinion, in a contemporary society, digital education method is more relevant and more effective on demands of student and on the worldwide education system. So this is the end from my side. Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, our last day presentation. My topic is the feminist way and the journey toward equality. This is my personal information. My research question to presentation: how has the distinct way of feminism contributed to the evolving the understanding of gender equality, and what challenge does the movement face in addressing intersectional and global inequality in the digital era?
my presentation hypothesis is the feminist movement through this distinct ways is progressively address the various demonstration of gender inequality, adapting to social change and technological advancement. However, achieving a comprehensive equality requires addressing contemporary challenges and including intersectionality, digital divide, and global disparities in feminist advocacy. This is my table of content. Start with defining feminism, a call for gender equality. Feminism advocate for equality between men and women in social, economic, and political areas. While originating in the West, it is now global movement supported by organizations fighting for women's rights. Historical inequalities, medieval Europe. Women were denied property ownership, education, and public participation. 19th century, we can say husband had a control over wives. Women could not vote, had limited education, and were excluded from profession. Early 20th century, in today time, women need male representative for business and decision making, even about their own children. Achievement and challenges. Success for women gain voting rights, access to education, and improve social standing. Remaining issues. Gender-based inequalities persist in many parts of the world. First wave of feminism, the fight for women suffrage. The first wave of feminism began in the 19th and early 20th century. Is focusing in basic right for women like vote, own property, and treated as equal citizens. The movement start with Seneca Fall Convention in 1848, where the declaration of sentiments demanded equality. Activists like Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, and Alice Paul led a protest, while groups like NASA pushed for legal reforms. Key figures like first way include Mary Wollstonecraft. In her book, The Vindication of the Rights of Women, provide the woman rights, and in a second feminist Sojourner too. In her speech, I Woman, advocating for racial and gender equality. Other notable readers were Emmeline Pankhurst, who led the militant suffragette action in Britain, and Elizabeth Candice Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, who spearheaded to suffrage movement in the U.S. The movement succeeded in achieving voting rights in countries like New Zealand, Germany, and U.S. Although it mainly focused on white middle class women figures like Ida B. Wells, also addressed the connection between racism and sexism. This way set the stage for future feminist movement by proving power of collective action and advocacy. The second way of feminism, it was a workplace, family, and reproductive rights. The second way of feminism, spanning in 1960 and 1980 century, was a pivotal movement focused on achieving equality in workplace, family structure, and reproductive right. In another Roe v. Wade write about reproductive rights, whereas reproductive right and Roe v. Wade write about the right to abortion. Activists also fought against involuntary sterilization and sought affordable contraception and healthcare for women. Prominent figures like Simone de Betty Friedan, Gloria Steinem were instrumental in shaping promoting feminist ideals. This era achievement transport laws, workplace policies, and social attitudes, leaving a lasting legacy that inspired future movements for gender equality. The third wave of feminism emerged in 19th century, addressing the limitation of a previous feminist movement. It emphasized individuality, culture diversity, and moving from a universal notion of womanhood. There are key figures of in the third wave like Rebecca Walker, highlighting the race, class, gender intersect to shape the experience inequally. Manifestation of third wave of feminism include personal narratives that highlight the diverse experience, culture, engagement through the media, art, and critique, stereotype, and emphasis on intersectionality, addressing the overlap of race, class, and gender. Also, we can see in the third wave of feminism, feminism is black feminism, focused on a unique struggle for black women posed by racism and sexism. It highlights the intersectionality, showing the how different oppression overlap. Thinkers like Bell Hooks movement like hashtag Black Lives Matter, fight for equality and inclusion. Third wave feminism challenged the rigid ideas of earlier feminism by embracing diversity and personal story. It includes a voice of different culture, gender, and identity, creating a more inclusive and flexible feminism that reflects the reality of globalized world. The fourth wave of feminism is called digital activism and global reach. The fourth wave of feminism began around 2012, focusing on issues like sexual harassment, body shaming, and rape culture, with social media as a key tool for change. It gained attention for after events like 2012 gang rape in India and the 2014 Gamergate champion, which targeted women speaking against the gender stereotype in video games. The movements grew stronger after Donald Trump in 2016 election, leading the Women's March in 2017, one of the largest protests in US history demanding gender equality. Another significant part of fourth wave is the Me Too movement, which start with 2006 to support survival of sexual violence, especially women of color. It gained widespread attention in 2017 when woman accused film producer Harvey Weinstein of sexual abuse. The hashtag MeToo encourage victims worldwide to share their story, holding the powerful men accountable for their action. The wave of feminism marked the digital activism, global reach, addressing issues like based on violence, LGBTQ plus right, and workplace of harassment. Milestones and challenges in the feminist movement. Legal rights we can see in the first wave of feminism, right to vote, achieving a movement like right to vote in New Zealand, own property, access, credit, fight workplace discrimination, law support, and equal pay, and fair right, marriage and divorce. Education, women have access to all education level, with many constituting the majority in colleges. Program like the title IX ensure equal sport opportunity. Workplace, women hold roles across the profession with protection for pregnant women, paid maternity leave, and anti-harassment laws. Leadership roles are increasing, but true parity is still evolving. Cultural progress. Strong female characters are more prominent in media. Household responsibility are shaped more equally, and women are enjoy greater autonomy in their personal lives, including choice about marriage, children, and appearance. Ongoing challenge: the gender pay gap persists. Women are underrepresented in the top roles, and challenges like high childcare cost, work-life balance, and online harassment remain. Feminism today and the way forward. Feminism today, modern feminist movement are including addressing the intersectional issue like class, race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation alongside the gender inequality. They focus on systematic change by challenging patriarchal system, advocating for reproductive rights, combating violence against women, and shifting social norms. Challenges facing feminism movements: the funding shortage and political resistance and fragmentation. This formalization in activism into NGOs often limits grassroots efforts and flexibility. The way to forward to advance feminist movement must adopt a intersectional approach that addressing overlapping oppression while securing long-term flexible funding, building the strong networks, and leveraging technology and focusing on the both social and systemic change are crucial. In conclusion, feminism has evolved through 4 ways: achieving the milestone like suffrage, workplace equality, digital activism, despite progress, challenge like systematic oppression and the gender pay gap persist. Their future requires the intersectional approaches, inclusive networks, and sustainable efforts to achieve true gender equality. This is my reflection, and thank you. Now let's discuss question.
What strategies are feminist movements using today to ensure productive rights amidst rising conservative policies globally?
So in today's time, feminist movement are strategy like advocacy, and personal reproductive rights in awareness. In globally, we can see see that in globally we like media mobilize and media like in example of parenthood to my hashtag my body and my choice. They are provide the safe abortion and education about reproductive rights.
What were the primary goals of the first wave of feminism and who were its leaders?
In the first wave of feminism, primary goals like primary like write about votes and equality, and also key figures like Susan, Alice Paul, and Mary Wollstonecraft. There are key figures of first wave of feminism. Thank you. So, very good afternoon, everyone. On our last day of our presentation, I'm going to deal with the topic of the from standpoint to the struggle, a Marxist lens of Shakespearean worlds. This is my personal information. In a research question, mostly it's deal with the Shakespearean characters, that how it's involved, that can Shakespeare's treatment of character and their moral dilemmas can be interpreted as critics of reinforcement of the prevalence of economical ideologies of his time. My hypothesis is Shakespeare's works through a Marxist lens reveal the social economic tension, class struggles, and power hierarchies of the Elizabethan society. His play not only depict the dynamic of wealth and authority, but also critique the exploration inherent in and early capitalist system. This analysis underscores the Shakespearean's relevance and as a commentator of historical and contemporary struggle for his justice and equality. This is my table of content which I'm going to discuss. Let's start with the introduction. I'm not going to discuss the Marxist because it's already discussed by the YASHRAJ. So come to the point that how Karl Marx and Shakespeare is involved in this theory, or we can say the critics. So Karl Marx terminology and the concept in political economy has prevent also in every intellectual discipline and include literary criticism. Movements such as culture, materialism, and new historicism inhibit a clear influence of Marx's thought. There is a lack of exemplary study that's focusing specifically on Marx's own perspective on Shakespeare. So how his perspective, or how he focusing on the idea of Shakespeare and Shakespeare as well. While SS Karl Marx and the world literature address Shakespeare or offer commentary tailored to Shakespearean scholars. So it's not direct address to the Shakespeare or his scholar. In Marx and Shakespeare, often they explore the Marx connection to Hegel, and who was heavily influenced by German idealism and classical literature. It examines how Shakespeare might illuminate Marx's thought and vice versa. So in this point, we can find out that how Shakespeare, maybe in some way, he is illuminating the Marx's thought or his idea, that how he is going to connect, or how it interpret the way he interpret of his works. It is not guided by Marxist ideology, but rather by an interest in Shakespeare influence on societal, socialist, intellectual, and in reader response criticism. So Shakespeare's work has influenced societal intellectual tradition. So how we can find out how criticize this Shakespeare, and how Marxist ideology in provide the significance of the idea of the Marxist theory. The approach aligned with the journal principles of reader response criticism and focusing on the interaction between Shakespeare works and their influence on the Marx. So this both I view differentiate or by the critics and other Marxist, that how Shakespeare works and their influence of the Karl Marx is happen and is effect. In the other point, Marxist Shakespearean criticism. In that point, that critics historical materialism and social and economic context are deal with. In critics, many critics analyze how Shakespeare socio-economic tension of his time, and particularly the transition from feudalism to emerging the bourgeoisie society. So we already know the bourgeoisie is a part of the society where they are find it as elite. In example, we can find out the Shakespearean depiction of the decay, feudal values, and the rise of mercantile power in the center to play like the Hamlet and the demon of the Athens. In caste struggle, we can find out the Shakespeare character often embody or confront the tension between the different classes, such as the aristocracy and the bourgeoisie. So, the aristocracy is like the one society that is given the title of their how this class is making the power or making the high class. So Smirnov noted a Marxist critique that divides the Shakespearean career into three periods that reflect his evolving perspective of Elizabethan society contradiction. So first is the early optimism about the societal progress. The second one is the dark tragic awareness of the societal disintegration. And the final is the third is the final reconciliation with reactionary element due to the need to please aristocratic patrons. So how they're pleasing their this class that in the element of the final dictionary. If they continue, then we can find the money and the alienation in the Marxist as well. Drawing from the Marx own commentary on Shakespeare, money is depicted as a corrupting force that transforms human relationships and the value into commodities. You can find this theme in the play of the demon of the Athens. In Marx interprets demons misanthropy as a stemming from his realization of money's alienation of power, which epitomizes broader societal estrogen in capitalist economics. In humanist versus the materialist perspective, the major critics debate the universality of the Shakespearean humanize against the relativist stance of Marxism, while some Marxist critics acknowledge Shakespeare's portrait of universal humanity. In other highlight the underlying socio-economic determinants that shaping this human experience. That how Marxist critics are critics Shakespearean work, or how Shakespeare portray his character, or how in work they will find out how they shaping his human experience as well. So in critique of vulgar Marxism, in that their Marxist critics such as George Lucas argues against the simplistic interpretation that reduce Shakespeare's art to propaganda for specific classes. So in some way, Shakespearean art, or we can say his work, maybe some kind of interpreting some of the classes, and some of the classes are because of that the Marxist critics are argue about that. In a Shakespeare and Marxist methodology, that Shakespearean's play reflect the social and economic contradiction of Elizabethan society. This era was marked by balance of power between the old fundamental nobility and the rising bourgeoisie, which influenced both politics and culture. So this in that era of Elizabethan, we can find out the politics and the culture that that become the rise of the bourgeoisie. Shakespeare's theatre was not just reflection of society, but an active participant in shaping it. It influenced audience while being influenced by their needs and their beliefs. This dynamic interplay highlights the theatre's role, both a mirror and the driver of social change. So we can find out in the Shakespearean plays and his work that how he's shaping and how the social changes we can find out in this way. So Marxist critics emphasize how Shakespeare art functioned with its historical context, and his use of metaphor and dramatic speech is seen as progress that actively engaged with societal issue, not just artistic expression. So as we find out that how Shakespeare write his work, how he's writing. So some way we can also find out that how in some way he also used the metaphor that deal with the metaphor is shaping, or we can say direct addressing the society. The document also in the article they also consider the Shakespeare significance in the modern times. For example, the Tempest is by the William Shakespeare is a play of tragic and comedy as well, interpret as a metaphor for colonialism. In this play also we can find out how colonialism is there, how he is using this theme, and how he also interpreting in the way of the comic with tragedy. The analysis connected the theme and structure of the Shakespearean play with both past and present social conditions. So it shows the how his play is dealing with both past and present that define the condition of the society. So Marxist approach integrate the study of his history and literary criticism, showing how Shakespeare's work is shaped by and shaped the social and cultural environment. So Marxist also approach the study of history, and they also find out some way of the in Shakespearean works how they're shaping the culture and the society. In Marxist humanism and Shakespearean humanism, that major point we can find that Shakespearean characters are depicted within social and historical contingencies rather than embodiments of internal truth, and this aligns with Marxist views of identity that's shaped by class, labor, and material conditions. Role of high culture in Marxist humanism, critics the idealize of high culture as merely refuse or the false conceptualization. Instead, it seems Shakespeare's work as a platform to critique social hierarchies while fostering hope for progressive changes. In the third point, we find out the potential versus the containment. Like in the article, Doleman's article, the person named Ryan viewed that Shakespeare as embodying the potential of human liberation. Culture materialistics argue that his play also expose how societal power structure contain and suppress such potential. So in Shakespeare play or Shakespeare works, we can also find out how power structure are there and how societal power defines and suppress the potential of this his work or his play. So relevance to humanist philosophy in humanism in Shakespeare connect deeply with Marxist ideals by advocating for. There are three major points in there that recognizing of common humanity and diversity, resistance against dehumanizing hierarchies, and the exploration of existential and social struggle that's fostering awareness of systematic inequality and individual agency. So we, as a come to the conclusion, then in conclusion, the Marxist enriches our understanding of Shakespeare, highlights the social, economic, and historical underpinning of his work through themes like class struggle, the alienation power of money, the transition of feudalism or to capitalism. Shakespeare play also reflect the contradiction and tension of Elizabethan society. This approach bridges the humanist and materialist perspectives, showing how Shakespeare's art critiques power structure while offering insight into universal human struggle as well. By connecting past and present, Marxist criticism underscores the Shakespearean enduring relevance as both a product of his time and the commentator of his social change. So this is from my side. This is my references, and thank you. If you have any question, then you can ask me.
So then my question is, in what ways can Shakespeare's theatre be seen as both a reflection of and an active participant in shaping in the society of his time?
In time of Elizabethan, Shakespeare's theatre are more specific in a way of the shaping the society. If I take the example, then we can find out we also watch the theater of Macbeth here. Then we find out that if we as an audience see the Shakespearean theater or his play, then how we find out how societal struggle are there or societal some issue that showing in reflect is in time of the Elizabethan, that how Shakespeare is reflecting in both ways as well. So yeah, this is my answer.
So how does Marxist approach to Shakespeare's play contribute to your understanding of the social and cultural environment of his life?
In Marxist, if I my understanding, then I will come with that idea that in that time, in that Elizabethan time, we some of the major things happened because of Shakespearean play. How he writing, how he contributed in this that time of period, and as a Marxist approach, that we find out that how there is a struggle, a very big struggle is going on of the social human social economics and other, as then how critics are interpreting and how critics are telling about the Shakespeare play or his work, that how is because of my in my understanding, I find out that Shakespeare maybe in that time is not that contributing or how not very connected with the Marxist idea, but in some way it's in play we can find out that how he also deal with some social issue to give idea to the audience and the people who is in that time. So yeah, that is from my side. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Today is the last day of the presentation. I am KHUSHI Rathod. My topic is Lens of Inequality, a cinematic study of frame in Article 15 movie. This is my personal information. This is my research question and hypothesis. A research question: how does the cinematic framing in Article 15 visually represent and critique caste-based inequality in India? This is table of content. First, start with the Article 15. Directed by Anubhav Sinha, written by Gaurav Solanki and Anubhav Sinha. Cinematography is Ivan. Production company Banaras Media Works, Z Studio. Article 15 released in 28 June 2019. Film overview of the Article 50. The Article 50 title is represent Indian Constitution, which see the discrimination of the grounds of religion, race, class, sex, of place of birth. Such discrimination was clearly throughout the local police force as presented in the film. Article 50, Anubhav Sinha, searching film about the engrossed by the caste system in the modern day India, does not play it cool. Inspired by the many rape cases in the movie, to see the gang rape of the three 15 years old because of they belong to the lower caste. In this movie, to see the case related three young women in that who had gone missing just before Ranjan's arrival, not long after his arrival. It is revealed that they worked in a local tannery and where from the Dalit family, Dalit being untouchable or outside the caste system. Ranjan is quite unused to caste being an issue and realize how different things are in rural areas. This is the movie in the other characters. Conceptual framework. In a film study, in many elements: composition, lighting, color palette, perspective, to make the film, to see how the character focus light, to see the emotions, color through the situation, perspective to camera angle through the perspective, high angle, low angle, to see how the societal situation, to see. In the Article 15, to see the frames emphasize the social disparities and bring the audience closer to the harsh reality and the caste oppressions. Connecting frame to social inequality. In the Article 15, to see how the physical and emotional distance between the privileged and oppressed, the oppressive weight of tradition and caste hierarchy. Purpose to the visual storytelling in the film, to create empathy to the audience in the struggle of the marginalized people, film through the in society, aware to the how marginalized people treat in the society, to make abstract concept of like caste discrimination and cinematic technique in Article 50. Mise-en-scene, to see the how the props, character in the image, lighting, the use of lighting, contrasting lighting symbolize the truth and hope. Color palette, red and yellow as the symbol of the danger and resilience. Camera work, in the movie, many angles to see, high angle, low angle, wide angle, to see how the situation to in movie to capture. First frame, opening scene. In the movie, to see how the opening scene in the first third, to see how the car scene to high angle shot and slowly to stay in Anubhav Sinha. Sorry, Ayushman Khurrana's car in the to one book. That name is the Jawaharlal Nehru in Discovery of India, to focus and zoom in and slowly to low angle and face to see how the looking out his car window, to see the Ayushman Khurrana's face symbolize the detachment and the privilege. The view emphasizes the physical and emotional distance between the rural area and in city. Contrast environment to see the Ayushman Khurana to enter the rural area. How the color to see the rural area and city environment, and lighting to see the how the hero Ayushman Khurana to new world and challenges, to see the high angle Ayushman's face to capture the low angle and enter the village. Second, discovery of the girl's body to see the how the two girls' body to tree. This is the white shot. The tree stands starting in the center and surrounded by silent watching the villagers. Second frame. This is the mute the color. How to see the in early morning scene to light struggle break the truth, the symbolize the truth and moral darkness. How the see in the photo to societal reality and darkness. This is the see the camera angle create the brutality and the crime. This is the scene how the darkness and slowly and steadily to focus on the tree in the two girls, and last scene to see the how zoom out to hold the people and tree and girls too. Third frame, protest march, symmetric frame to see how the police and contrast side the people to see the represent the clash between oppressed and the system, to see the people land height wise to see, and secondly to see oppressed left and system. Close up shot. Second image to see the how the iron face to close up, and third to see the how the protester show anger because of the justice to girls. See, one like the one opinion to see the how the prisons look like, and see the how the protester to police to see how the justice. Symbols in frames to the image to see how the water in a movie. First in to see the hope to evidence to slowly to catch up, and justice the two girls and one missing, totally three girls justice. Rain signifies cleansing and the renewal, while the swamp symbolize the decay and the systemic corruption. Social politic context to see the reality in the our society, how to injustice the lower class people and politician to how their time to see how to low caste people to help him, and photographs to see their time politics. Caste-based discrimination is the ancient to contemporary times. Marginalized Dalit, other low caste groups denied the access education, land, opportunity. Discrimination manifests in various forms such as education, job, and housing. Crimes against Dalits such as the honor killing, sexual violence, and denial of the rights are still widespread. Other example to Meena Swami, one to see how the Dalit girl to treat and political parties often use caste dynamic to mobilize voters, perpetuating caste identity for electoral gains. Political reservation aim to provide equity, but have also sparked debates over affirmative action and caste-based politics. To see how the politics, their time election to vote, and now see the Baba Saheb Ambedkar and he represent the Dalit community, and how the politics, election time to low caste people to sit and eat, and how the media capture. Second, to see the how low caste people in contemporary time to see that work in low caste people in movie to see that Ayana enter the rural that time in a car to driver to see no low caste people to share is not good. Conclusion, Article 15 uses the cinematic frames and storytelling to expose the caste-based inequality in India, critiquing systemic operation while the sparking dialogue and social justice through the symbolic imagery and powerful performance. It highlights the role of cinema as a tool for raising awareness and promoting equality. The films serve as a call to action, urging society to confront in the entire hierarchy for a more just and inclusive future. In the movie to in society, movie through cinema through to see marginalized people's situation in their work to awareness in society's people. This is the references. Thank you. If any question you ask me.
So, my question is, according to you, how is the use of fog in this movie article?
Yes, sir. In the movie to see use of the fog in two girls rape in hanging the tree. That time to see actor to enter. That time to see fog in represent the tension, reveal the truth of the society, privilege to how to treatment in the marginalized people. Okay, this is the use of fog in the movie.
See, my question is, can you provide some example of other Bollywood movies which explore the themes similar to the movie article?
Yes, sir. Many movies to similar themes to article movie like Masan, second Drishyam, Lunchbox movie to similar the see societal marginalized people identity to represent in the movie. Okay, thank you.
Very good afternoon, everyone. On the last day of presentation, I am going to make a presentation on the topic redefining feminism in cyber era, the cyber feminism. My personal information, things which I am going to discuss in the presentation, and let's start with the introduction. So, cyber feminism was emerged in 1990 as a response to increasing presence of technology and everyday life. So, as we know that as time passes, some theories are changed itself. And feminism is kind of one of them. So how feminism is blending with some kind of digital tools. So here we can say that how everyday life blending with feminist ideologies with the digital revolution. This movement critiques patriarchal structure as the traditional feminism also critiques patriarchal structure, which is embedded in technological development, while leveraging digital tools to empower women and promote the gender equality. Technology analysis based on gender. So though there is technology is increasing and rising new opportunities, and cyber feminism is also rising. There is gender biases and gender we can say inequalities are there. So in the intersection of gender and technology reveals systematic biases that have a long favored male dominating narratives, like as we can say that like coding practices and artificial intelligence and digital platform. These are the platforms where male are dominating easily, and obvious thing, and males are dominating in these kind of platforms. So why these kind of gender inequalities are there? We can easily identify by these charts. The first chart state that how use of internet globally and how the uses of India uses of internet by women and men. Though there are not drastic changes, but changes are there. And this chart is about use of a social networking site globally. So as we can say that how search engines, which is more important, like Facebook and Pinterest, search engines like Google is uses more by male community in comparison of females. And while this Pinterest and Facebook, which is Pinterest is kind of very we can say that a feminine app, which is which is conclude this kind of a skill based things, and which is dealing with this clothing and fashion things. Women as a savvy users. A core tenet of cyberfeminism is recognizing women as an active participant and innovative in the digital world. By fostering digital literacy and promoting the creative of female-driven content, women are breaking stereotype and asserting their presence in the cyberspace. And the best example is. The hashtag #MeToo movement. As we know that how women are actively participate in this movement, and there are number of other movements like this, and how these movement help many women, and how it empowers and how it helps women to break the stereotypes of oppressing. The next thing is empowerment through cyberfeminism. So as we know that how this cyberfeminism, use of technology, use of internet, have challenges traditional roles and traditional workplaces for the women, and they are because of this use of internet and new platforms have make new we can say opportunities for the women. They can share their experience globally and challenges traditional roles. The movement also support initiative like remote work and online education, which open in new avenues for the working women. Challenges in the digital space. So though there are challenges as there, though whether we can say that how women are empowering, but always challenges are there. So challenges like gender online harassment and algorithmic biases, discourses, participation, while unequal access to technology limits, inclusivity, particularly in rural and unprivileged areas. So gender and online harassment, like there are a number of cases of cyberbullying, cyber fraud, and there are so these kind of challenges we can consider as challenges of rising of cyberfeminism. And algorithmic biases are there also. And though it is and as it is basically related with technology, basically related with the machine, so there will be the kind of machine access thing as well, and kind of machinic problems always there. And in the rural and unprivileged areas, so this can be also criticized, that how some access problem, and how some because of internet and all, how some rural areas and unprivileged areas are the kind of challenging thing to privilege them as well. So this requires system reform in digital politics and education. Then critics' opinion is also lead the same thing, that how the challenges are there, and how women's have this problem of this harassment, and problem of cyberbullying, and as they are women, so they can be there are a number of cases as well. So they also highlighted challenges such as the digital divide, which is the restricted access to technology for marginalized group. Additionally, there is a skepticism about whether a digital space genuinely democratize access or reinforces existing power or power structures. So these are some notable works. The very first thing we can say that is SEDI plans 0+1, and which is a very prominent work. And VNS matrix. This VNS matrix is kind of interesting. We can say kind of interesting writers. These are actually a group of four girls, and they have written a cyber manifest, a cyber feminist manifesto for the 21st century. And kind of different thing, that this four girls have once made a video game, and this game was kind of game that as you open the game, it will be shown that you have to select actually that whether you are a woman or whether you are a girl. And the third option is that neither, and as you select the women or the girl, you directly out of the game. So it is kind of, as you say, you have to only select neither, and then you can access the game. So it is kind of interesting game they make, and it was kind of different thing from the cyber feminism. That's why I haven't used it in the presentation. And the third is Donna Haraway's cyber manifesto, which is foundational feminist essay that explore the idea of the cyborg as a metaphor for breaking down the traditional boundaries. And here Haraway actually said that how cyborg is the boundary breakers, like it challenges the traditional breakers like women and female and male, nature versus culture, and so so these kind of traditional boundaries at breaking. And in essay she also critiques traditional feminism. She also addresses the technology as the empowerment, irony and playfulness, and she also discussed on cyber politics. So let me wind up the presentation here. Cyber feminism is a dynamic and evolving movement that utilizing digital platform to empower women and challenges traditional gender norms and amplify a feminist voice in the digital realm. So this was how feminism is, we can say, how this is an extended version of feminism. There are new challenges, there are new things for the opportunities for the women, and you can visit these sources for the further reading. And thank you very much. We can discuss the questions now.
So, KUSUM, as you mentioned in your presentation about the cyber feminism, the woman empowerment. So, my question is related to that can politics affect cyber feminism?
Yes, we can say that yes, politics can directly affect cyber feminism. So there are a number of, as we want some original data for the uses of some specific app or specific access or the women, male and women. So politics can, we can say, they can organize, and they can they can say that what are the uses, or who are the main users, and they can make a kind of we can say special things, special applications for the women, so that women can be use internet, or it can be use some kind of a special apps or special for the empowerment, and they can make And if there are a number of cases like harassment, so politics can they, organize the thing. So in that way, politics can affect the cyber feminism.
My question is, what are some other movements like the Me Too movement?
Okay, so there will be maybe 2 to 3 movements are there, many, but I can remember 2 to 3. That one is maybe in 2014 there is a movement called he for she, hashtag he for she, and it was maybe emerged by the help of Emma Watson, actor, and she have emerged this hashtag for the invite male community to contribute in women empowerment. So, and another one is Orange the World, maybe, or it was Orange, and hashtag Orange for World, and it was against the violence, the male violence, actually against the men violence, and it was in the last one was in maybe in a different language okay, I forgot this last one. And the same, it was also dealing the same thing, the women, the violence against the women. So thank you very much. This was from my side.
Hello everyone, I am PALLAVI PARMAR, and today I am going to deal with the topic from margins to center, the rise of queer narratives in Indian cinema. These are my personal information. So let's discuss research question. So my research question is, how has Indian cinema evolved in its portrayal of queer narratives, and what impact does this shift have on societal attitudes toward the LGBTQ plus community? And the hypothesis is the evolution of queer narrative in Indian cinema from stereotypical and marginal representations to inclusive and meaningful storytelling has significantly influenced societal acceptance of LGBTQ plus identities, challenging traditional norms and fostering empathy. So let's firstly start with what is queer theory. Queer theory challenges traditional categories of gender and sexuality, rejecting the binary oppositions of heterosexuality and homosexuality. It emphasizes fluidity, diversity, and instability of social constructs. Queer theory seeks to transgress or question established norms and categories. It views identity and sexuality as a socially constructed meaning they are shaped by culture and society rather than being fixed or natural. Queer theory critiques the ways in which power is exercised through categorization, aiming to create more inclusive and flexible understanding of identity. The ultimate objective is universalize the queerness, encouraging society to move beyond strict binaries and embrace a more open perspective on sexuality and identity. Basically, in queer theories, there are it challenges the traditional categories like categories of gender, male and female, but it emphasizes that there is another gender also, that one person who wants to so it describes queer theory studies that one person who is not fit in that category, who want to describe themselves as another gender, so they can be considered as a queer. Queer theory emerged in the 1990s, inspired by Michel Foucault's ideas on societal norms. Gloria Anzalda's challenged traditional views of sexuality and gender. The term queer was reclaimed by the LGBTQ community, shifting from its original meaning of strange. Queer Nation redefined queer in the 1980s during AIDS crisis to promote pride and resilience. Judith Butler developed the concept of performativity, argued that gender and sexuality are performed through repeated behaviors, challenged traditional ideas of fixed gender identities, where Michel Foucault explored the construction of homosexual identity in the 19th century and analyzed medical and legal discourse in history of sexuality, influenced queer theory by critiquing power structures and shaping sexuality. like a queer means strange or odd, like which is not in the context of or in the eyes of society, which is not normal or which is not acceptable. It count as the queer or strange. So let's see about Indian Hindi cinema and queer gaze. In the past, LGBTQ plus characters in Indian cinema were often shown as a jokes or in negative roles. Over time, Bollywood began telling queer stories with more care and understanding. Like at first, we can say that they are not main center or they are not main focus of the movies, but they are there in the movies to bring some humor or to bring some light. Light tone in the movie, but they are not centered, their problems are not centered, they are often criticized by their looks or by their funny behaviors, gestures. So they are not in main focus. Movies like Fire, which is published which is released in 1996, Aligra, which is in 2016, and Shubh Mangal Zyada Saudhan in 2020 helped normalize queer representation. These films encouraged people to see queer character as a relatable and deserving of respect. Like as we see the past earlier movies, that we are in the sense that we are say that they are marginal, they are side characters, they cannot be the central characters if we see old movies. But the movies like Fire, Aligra, they said that they can also be a part of Bollywood movie as a main character. Despite progress, Bollywood still needs to include more authentic and diverse LGBTQ stories. Early representation of queer identities in Indian cinema. If we see in 1960s to 1990s era, queer characters were often portrayed as a comedic elements or villains. Like if we take example of movies like Mera Naam Joker or Lavaris, so that can be also we can found that cross-dressing and exaggerated effeminacy were used for humor. Like Raja Hindustan and Masti, we can also find in Masti there is a certain group of guy men, we can find that they were suffering for to accept their identities. In Raja Hindustani there were two characters. One is the Kammo and another is the Gulab Singh. We can find that in Kammo's character, she is a female, but she has the more manly characteristics, and she expressed herself as a more in manly way. While in the other side, Gulab Singh represent, like in Gulab Singh, he is a more have that feminine gestures, and through their dressing or their gestures, we can find that they play as a role of comic characters. While we see in 1990s to 2000s, that serious attempts being done by the makers, like to give them a space in movies like a Fire, which is in 1996 depicted a lesbian relationship. But it depicted that story of two women, but those who surrounded by that their marriage, their unhappy marriage, so they relate with each other and they develop that emotional relationship with each other. But that film faced backlash and censorship. That commercialized themes, like in Dostana, it used queer humor but avoid serious exploration. That it also focused on more humorous aspect of the film. Problematic portrayals, like in the film Girlfriend, that it linked lesbianism to trauma, reinforcing negative stereotypes. Common issues in early queer representation in Indian cinema. Like we can find that casting limitations. Queer roles were often played by cisgender actors, like those who are the play of. If we take the play, they are not a really queer person, but they are the role play by any female or male. So the people cannot digest, or we cannot have that representation of true self of queer, such as in a Sacred Games and Lakshmi, which limited the authenticity of the portrayal. Tokenized characters. Queer characters were frequently underdeveloped and included only as a comedic element or a minor plot devices, as seen in Raja Hindustani and Masti. Resistance to progressive narratives. Films exploring queer themes like A Fire and the Pink Mirror the faced significant backlash, censorship, and the bans from the conservative groups. Like to release these type of films, it is not that much easy when you are in the era of that conservative people. So films like this, Fire and the Pink Mirror, they have to face some kind of backlash and censorship and ban from these conservative groups. Queer depiction in Fire. In 1998, the Fire portrays the same-sex relationship between two women, Radha and Sita, in patriarchal society. It challenges traditional gender roles and societal norms around marriage and sexuality. The film uses fire as a metaphor for passion, rebellion, and liberation. It was a groundbreaking moment in Indian cinema, sparkling national debates on LGBTQ+ rights and visibility. Like we can say that they are not happy with that societal structure of to marry a man and women. So they were married women, but they are not happy in their relationship with their husband. So they initially they were emotionally connected with each other, and it creates their bond more stronger. So they are in the opposite, like which is not acceptable by society, but they are in the relationship. Contemporary films and their queer characters. Like if we have a movie, Chandigarh Kare Ashiki, which is released in 2021, directed by Abhishek Kapoor, and the film portrays a love story between a cisgender male bodybuilder, which is role played by Ayushmann Khurrana, and a transgender woman, which role played by Vani Kapoor. It challenges stereotypes and traditional norms surrounding gender identity and romantic relationship. Acceptance of diverse gender identities and the struggles of trans individuals in romantic relationship. Like we can find that such as transgender cannot, they are not acceptable as a partner. So through this movie, they break this type of stereotype that transgender cannot be a partner. So in this movie, we can find that type of depiction. Shubh Mangal's Zyada Saavdhan. This film stars Ayushmann Khurrana as a gay man fighting for his love and acceptance in conservative Indian family. Like he is in love with another man, but his family is not with their love. So we can find his struggle for his love and acceptance in his conservative family. It uses humor to normalize same-sex relationship and tackle homophobia. Theme, we can find that acceptance of LGBTQ+ relationship in familial and societal structures. Next movie is Ek Ladki Ko Dekha To Aisa Laga, which is published in 2019, featuring Sonam Kapoor. This film explores a lesbian love story while addressing societal taboos and family acceptance, like how a lesbian relationship is grown and in their family, how the journey of acceptance, the relationship we can find here, the courage to come out and live authentically in a conservative setting. Next movie is Badhai Do, which is released in 2022, a comedy drama about a lavender marriage between a gay man, the role played by Rajkumar Rao, and a lesbian woman, the role played by Bhumi Pednekar, navigating societal expectations and their individual identities. Like they are not happy in their marriage. They like due to societal pressure, they have to be in that marriage. But we can see that how society's pressure here, and we can find that how they are portrayed that in a normal way. But we can find that they are creating their personal spaces for in the movie queer individuals within societal norms. Another movie is Kapoor and Sons, which is released in 2016. While primarily it is a family drama, we can find, but it subtly incorporates a gay character played by Fawad Khan and address familial acceptance. Like he is playing a role of a gay man. So eventually he finds that familial acceptance, LGBTQ+ representation in a mainstream narrative. Like compared to old narrative, we can not find it as much marginalized, but we can find that now it is there into mainstream narratives. Made in Heaven, which is a web series, which is released in 2019, an Amazon Prime series with a central gay character navigating personal struggles and societal prejudices. we can find key themes like intersection of sexuality, societal hypocrisy, and class. Allegra, which is released in 2016, a biographical drama about a university professor, Dr. Srinivas Ramchandra Siras, a professor who was expelled for his sexual orientation. We can find that the struggle, that how he had to struggle with his identity, that he is a gay man. So how he have to struggle and suffer a lot among this society, among the people. The right to privacy and the fight against discrimination, the type of key themes we find. And as we see, the fire is a prominent film. We can say that it's a remarkable film which led LGBTQ plus based film to another direction. The rise of queer narratives in Indian cinema. We can find that its impact on older generation, that they challenge traditional beliefs with nuanced film like Allegra, Ek Ladki Ko Dekha, and slow acceptance. They are not as much open-minded to accept that not all the people, but mostly people, they are not they are not able to accept that as much as fast as film as a medium to foster empathy and understanding. Impact on young adults, that it increased awareness and inclusivity through modern portrayals, positive roles and models in movies like Shubh Mangal Zyada Saudhan. We can find that validation and representation empower LGBTQ plus youth. We can find that the key themes which we can find raise of queer narratives in a shift from ridicule to respect, like they are portrayed as ridicule figures. So and now we can find that they are portrayed as respectable and they have their privacy, they have their own self. We can find that type of depiction. Intersectionality in class, gender and sexuality. Comedy as a tool for breaking stereotypes. Like we can find that comedy is not to express them ridicule, but to express to break that stereotypes. So in conclusion, we can say that the journey of queer narratives in Indian cinema has progressed from stereotypes to marginalized to meaningful representation and acceptance. Early portrayals often mocked or misrepresented LGBTQ plus identities, but films like Fire and Allegra brought the struggles into focus. Recent movies like Shubh Mangal Zyada Saudhan and Badhai Do have further normalized queer stories, breaking barriers and fostering understanding. The transformation highlights how cinema can challenge societal norms and promote inclusivity, giving a voice to the LGBTQ plus community and encouraging acceptance in the society. Like we can find that from the marginalized, from the neglected character to they are the mainstream character and the main focus of the movie. We can find this type of shift in Indian cinema. These are some references. And thank you. Now, if you have any question, feel free to ask.
My question is, what do you think about social change in the context of the existence of queer people?
Yes, Khushi, about I think in social change, the context of existence of queer people, like if we compare this their existence or their importance into society and culture with previous generation or with the past, we can find that in this generation or in today's time, they were really very respected in comparison to past times. And we can find that in Gandhinagar they have this foundation of queer foundation, something foundation like that. So they have, in that foundation they give opportunity to them to express themselves, to stand for themselves. Yes, that's it from my side.
My question is, in your observation, what is the impact of using humor and light-hearted storytelling in movies to normalize queer identities?
Yes, Kusum. So if we talking about humor, so humor and light-hearted. So at first we have them as a ridiculous the characters of the movie. But right now there are not any. We can say that there is a humor, but through the humor people or the characters who are queer characters, we can find their problems, we can understand their mindset. So through the help of humor and light-hearted storytelling in the society, they were eventually accepted as a gender or as a normal people. Yeah, that's it from my side, and thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I am Priyanshi and today I am going to give presentation on the topic the art of montage, a critical analysis of its use in film and television. These are my personal information. These are the table of the contents. My research question is, how does the use of montage influence narrative development, emotional engagement and audience interpretation in film and television? Hypothesis, the effective use of montage enhances narrative cohesion, intensifies emotional engagement and shapes audience interpretation by juxtaposing visual and auditory elements to convey complex meanings. So, introduction. So, as we know that films can be analyzed both as a story like novel and as visual objects like paintings. Narrative films are structured like novels using scene selection and combination and analyzed through methods such as formalism, structuralism, and historical or psychological analysis. And as a visual medium, film require a distinct analytic tool for understanding. Key elements generating meaning in films include composition, editing, and art direction. Composition means arrangement of objects within the visual frames, and editing means connecting scenes and shot. And art direction means elements like color, sound, set design, and location. Film is not simply canon theater, but something else, an art form in its own right. Eisenstein says, for example, the expressive effect of cinema is the result of juxtaposition, means montage. And as we know that montage play a key role in the film and television editing. Here I mention the definition of montage, which was given by famous filmmaker Rome. The thought of the artist, his idea, his vision of the world expressed in the selection and juxtaposition of pieces of screen action in the most expressive and most meaningful form. So first is what is montage? So montage is a key term in film study, and montage word originated from the French verb monter, which means to mount or to assemble. And according to the filmmaker's idea, montage in a film study refers to combining scenes together according to the original idea to make it produce comparison, association, and foil back the scenes to complete works of film and television. But according to Ad Sico, said that montage describes the various ways in which filmmaker starring individual shots together to form a series. That is a synonyms for film editing. Montage can help the filmmaker of a movie move forward the story quickly and effectively. Then the role of the montage. As we know that in the silent era, film used to exaggerate movement and expression to entertain audience, and as a comparison of a modern era, due to technological progress, simple action failed to meet psychological needs, and elements like gorgeous color, music, rhythm, and perfect plot are not essential for a film's appeal. Examples like Avatar, Christopher Nolan's Inception excel in these aspects, immersing audience in the story. Montage technique integral to story structure, character development, and emotional engagement. And montage is a key to film success and viewer impact. Then development of the montage. According to Lee Stack, montage is two types of theory. First one is Einstein's montage theory. headed by the Soviet Union director and film theorist, who insists that using the film editing technique to rearrange the cinema scenes will produce a new meaning. And the second one is a French film theorist, André Bazin's long lens theory, also called paragraph lens. He considered that the montage techniques destroy a film's truth, and the new meaning that are produced by the montage combination are a performance of behaviorism. However, the first theory has been used in real life widely and is a cause to set up the film industry. The most famous representative can be seen in Hollywood. So types of montage: expression montage, narrative montage, American style montage sequence, Soviet style montage. And in expression montage, there are two types of montage: comparison montage and accumulation montage. And in narrative montage, there are four types of montage: parallel montage, repetition montage, intersection montage, and illusion montage. So, what is expression montage in film? So, Lee explained that expression montage gives the viewer a chance to explore their imagination according to each relationship between individual shots. Then there is the sound and parallel montage, cross montage, comparison montage, symbol and metaphor montage, which are parts of an expression montage. And second one is a narrative montage. Also, Lee stated that narrative montage is referring to individual shots that rely on editing to condense the time and relationship between each shot. And also, David Bordwell in 1972 determined that montage is used to build a narrative by formulating an artificial time and space or guiding the viewer's attention from one narrative point to another, to control the rhythm, to create metaphor, and to make a rhetorical point. So, Soviet style montage. Eisenstein believed that montage is a conflict of graphic direction, scale, volume, and depth. This means that the mode of Soviet style montage is a dialectical or intellectual. Eisenstein considered the conflict between the shots is resolved by higher truth synthesis, and he explained how the two different individual shots can create a new meaning. As the example, two different individual shots like shot 1, shot A plus shot B, they both combine together and create a new meaning like shot C. Or thesis plus antithesis is equal to synthesis. Einstein explained that a separate object can be combined to become one concept, and his examples are like a dog and a mouth means to bark. A mouth plus a child means it symbolizes a concept of to scream, and a mouth plus a bird means obviously a bird symbolizes to sing, and so its direct meaning, third meaning, to sing, and a knife plus heart is equal to sorrow. The Kuleshov experiment. The film director and theorist Lev Kuleshov experimented to study the effect of montage on viewers' perceptions of emotions. In this picture, we can find that the three types of images, and the first one images in one side a man, and on other side a girl inside the coffin. It means it identify and reflect the man who feels sad. And on second image, a man and a bowl of a soap, it identifies the man who feels hungry. And third one image is a man and on other side a lady lying on a sofa. It symbolizes the man who is pervert. Then montage in film. Here I take Sri Lankan movie Bedagama, and Bedagama is a cinematic adaptation of Woolf's novel for portraying the trials of destitute family in the village of Bedagama. So basically, the story revolves around the character of Silindu, who is a widow, and his daughter. And also she has a daughter, and his daughters, as they navigate these hardships while comforting the antagonists, which name is Bebe Hami, a headman with history of abuse. In film, their challenges include poverty, disease, superstitions, and the unforgiving colonial system, compounded by the harshness of the jungle. And amidst this turmoil, Silindo passes on his jungle wisdom to his daughters, who grapple with envy and rage, exploring theme of jealousy, revenge, and manipulation. Symbols and metaphor in films. First one is buffalo. Buffalo's skull used as a metaphor in this film, and also they also dirty water, mud, thrown trees in the dry forest landscape symbolize the hardship and harshness of the village life. And on the other side, fancy as a symbolize. So throughout the movie, we can see the majority of shots conflict with graphic direction within the frame, and the frames of the character walking through the forest. As we know that main protagonist of the movie, Shulin, also a farmer, and walking through the forest, and the fancy symbolize the barriers and obstacles faced by the characters. And animal symbols, animals like pigs symbolize danger and may represent the challenge and threats faced by the villagers. And the buffalo can also symbolize ignorance or innocence in the face of danger and change. The fawn embodies the qualities of femininity and innocence. Then we can also find many conflict in this novel, like conflict of graphic direction, conflict of depth, conflict of visual plans. And the film Badekama, it seems that montage techniques such as a conflict within the frame, use of symbol and metaphors have been used brilliantly in the image frame to create a rich and inspiring narrative. And director Lester James has used this montage technique to create a great cinematic work from a weak screenplay. So, conclusion. Montage remains a cornerstone of visual storytelling, revolutionizing how narrative are structured in both film and television. By juxtaposing disparate images, it creates emotional resonance and intellectual engagement, transcending linear storytelling to evoke deeper meaning. Pioneered by figures like Eisenstein, montage has evolved to reflect culture, political, and artistic ideologies, proving its adaptability and continued relevance in contemporary media. Ultimately, its power lies in its construct meaning, making it an enduring and transformative technique in visual media. These are my references, and thank you. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask.
Priyanshi, my question is, how does the technique of montage function as a pivotal tool in achieving the filmmaker's intended narrative and emotional objectives?
As we know that montage is used to combine different scene or shot to tell story and make the audience feel something. And it also helps to show a lot of event to quickly create excitement and explain difficult things in simple way. And there are pioneer and pivotal features like in storytelling use, like building a perfect narrative, building an emotional impact, conveying complexity, and adding a rhythm and flow to the narrative. Next.
So, Priyanshi, my question to you is, can you share some other examples of montage in movies?
Okay, there are a lot of movies which use montage technique, particularly Rocky. in 1974 movie is a American independent sports drama or film. Drama or film, and it tells story about a Rocky, a poor guy, and a small time club fighter, and in movie Rocky, training montage is iconic, and it shows Rocky's training, punching, um, punching, and his hard work and his excitement for the fight. It shows impact to the audience, and we can also see montage technique in famous films of Christopher Nolan's films like Inception or Oppenheimer. Okay, that's from my side. Thank you.
So, hello everyone, my name is Rahul Desai, and today I am presenting my presentation on the topic of Marxism and environmentalism, examining the capitalism's role in climate change. These are the personal information of me, table of contents which I discuss in this presentation. Now let's start with the introduction. Marxist environmentalism is theory that attributes the ecological crisis to the capitalism's mode and of the production, and which is focused on the maximizing profit of the production, and production. Capitalism has made a relationship between human and ecology was, and then on the other side, the relationship between the bourgeoisie and the proletarian. Bourgeoisie like who has the power and who has the control over the situations, control over the societies, and control over the thoughts. And on the other side, proletariat, who has to follow the ideas and making follow the bourgeoisie's path. And Marx ecological analysis has inspired repilation of Marxism, although his work has been criticized for the neglecting natural scientific and developments of being anti-technologies. This in capitalism, both social conception and understanding of the natural environment and human ecology transformation via labor and are continually constituted in alienated forms. Then we can see that the capitalism and resource exploration. Then the capitalism and resource exploration by the interrelationship between the culture, power, politics, and other corporation devices, and developmentalism and the way it works, like Adivasi resources, rich regions. And then we can also observe capitalism mode of production, that is the pursuit of profit marginalizations. Then we also observe that the capitalism uses science and technology to express their ideas, express their thoughts, and to developing the natural resources around us as a through the result, like excessive discharge of waste causes serious pollution and damage to the ecological environment. Then ecological Marxism is one of the trends of Western Marxism, which and the modernization result of the Western Marxism solving the new social problem. Modernization like industrial activities for planting the trees, and many more things, like capital and technology exploit the global resources, like practicing ecological colonialism and plundering the developing countries causing pollutions, resource depletion, and environmental issues. The concept of the metabolic rift, the very well known and interesting concept like metabolic rift by Marx. Marx metabolic rift highlight the alienation between human and nature. He draw the line between human and nature. That industrial agriculture disrupt the natural soil metabolism, like industrial day-to-day build-up, a large number of, and then soil metabolism is too less in today's time. Also, Marx wrote on this rift in the soil metabolism caused by the industrialized agriculture. Marx also advocate for the rational regulation of the human-nature relationship. It's as a declare in capital, even an entire society, a nation, or all simultaneously exciting society taken together. Not owners of the earth. We are not owners of the earth. We are living on the earth only. Marx's critique of capitalism links human and nature relation to the ecological crisis, offering the historical materialistic perspective on the solution. Materialistic perspective like the class discrimination, income discrimination, elite or proletarian people, and many more things. Then consumerism and the false needs. Here, Western Marxists like Herbert Marcuse and Guy Debord critique over consumptions as a key ideology in capitalist society. Then we can find also the hybrid hobbies like hybrid cars, air conditions, and among others our hobbies and requirements to live in the life also impact on the false need and our environment also. Marxists hold that our immediate perceptions of reality is frequently predicted on ideological presumptions, and that we live in an upside down world. Upper class and down class and upside down class. All the time is not same. Time is also changed by the society or by the thinking process. Marxists argue that modern consumption largely satisfy manufactured false need created by the capitalism. Then environmental injustice and class inequality. Inequality has been a persistent issue in the climate change discussion. In the general, it has been part of the discussion of climate justice issue, which is done in a particular case of environmental justice issue. Then it is possible aggregate the individual burdens at the country level, and the revert as a discussion to the cross-country framework. Then we also see the demographic characteristic like race, class, gender, ethnicity, religion, and age. Then inequality exists in the assessed income, political power, and access to public resources like health, education, and housing also. We can take the example of hospitalization. When we going to the hospital to check up or any kind of our disease. So at that time, first they want from us to money, not our health or any kind of things. Both labor and nature are exploited as a result of capitalism's innate need for accumulations. Yes, marginalized group face greater exposure to pollution and displacement with climate change worsening inequalities. Climate change and global capitalism. We can find the global capitalism and economic expansion are driving forces to both income inequality and climate change. Then climate change is also increase emission of the greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide released from the big factories and big many more things like. And our continued dependence on the fossil fuel industry will continue to raise global temperatures as a direct result of global capitalism. In in the US, despite a record median household incomes in 2018, income inequality reached 50 years high due to the factors like tax policies and weaker labor union. Free market policies often lead to economic growth, but also increase emissions and inequality. Eco-socialism, a Marxist solution to environmental issues. Yes. Eco-socialism has intellectual roots in the works of Marx and Engels. Engels, who criticized the capitalism's logic of endless expansion, and accumulation. Marx also defined the labor process itself as a way in which man, through his own actions, meditates, regulates, and controls the metabolism between himself and nature. Marx believed that all the controls is in the human's hand. Eco-socialism is a branch of social ecology which study ecological issues, is a rational of socio-economic issue. Ecologists, thinkers employed the new ecologism of green theory to criticize Marx for alleged failing to address question of sustainability. Benton was a critic, also argued that the Marx is critiquing the Malthus, dismissed the idea of natural limits, contrasting it with mainstream green thought, influenced by the Malthusian ideas. In conclusion, Marxist environmentalism and the study of capitalism and climate change generally conclude that capitalism is the primary cause of climate change, and that the relationship between human and nature. The environment has been worsened by the capitalism pursuit of profit maximization. These are the works cited, and thank you. Now time for the question. You can ask me a question.
So my question to you is, in your opinion, how does modernization affect climate change?
Yes, Pallavi. So my answer is that modernization is by increasing the greenhouse gas emissions through the industrial activities, industrial developments, and deforestation, and displacement of the very greenery press, and the climate change on the global warming effects we face today's time. Yes, so my answer is that.
So Rahul, my question is, how does eco-socialism critique capitalism and pro-Marx ideas?
Yes, so my answer is eco-socialism critique also drove our eye on the environmental harm by the industrial revolution, and many more things. And on the other side, also drove the Marx idea on labor mediating power, labor mediating union, and weaker worker. And it's it also show the relationship with the between human and nature also. And Marx also addressing the idea of sustainability in the case of climate change and eco-socialism also. So thank you. This is from my side.
So very good evening to all of you on the very last day of our presentation seminar. I'm going to present myself on the topic deconstruction and its key concept in James Coates' 4 under the subject literary criticism and the film studies. Yes, there, yes. These are my academic information. And if we begin with the introduction, then deconstruction, we all know that it is a powerful tool for analyzing the text, revealing the complexity and the contradiction inherent within them. Yes, developed by the philosopher Jacques Derrida, deconstruction challenged the traditional notion of fixed meaning and stable narratives instead of emphasizing the fluidity and instability of language. This approach also critically, in a way, examined the binary opposition such as speech and silence, truth and fiction, and uncovers the hidden power structures that shapes these narratives. Yes, this presentation also we are going in this presentation we are going to explore how this James Coates' 4, a postmodern retelling of Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe, applies a deconstruction of challenging conventional storytelling by focusing on the key concept like binary opposition, yes, and difference and logocentrism and aphoria. We also analyze how Coetzee deconstructs the authority of narrator, question the representation of marginalized voices, and destabilize traditional notion of truth and fiction. Through these lenses, Foe invites the reader to critically engage with the narrative and reconsider the power dynamics of storytelling itself. Yes, here are my research question and hypothesis. So my hypothesis for this presentation is in James Coates' 4. How it employs deconstruction to subvert traditional binary opposition such as speech versus silence, truth versus fiction, using the concept like difference and aporia by destabilizing authorial authority and the highlighting the marginalization of the character like Friday in the novel. The novel critiques the power dynamic and reveals how silence and alternative narrative can resist dominant storytelling structures. Yes, there is nothing outside the tracks. We all know this famous words by Jacques Derrida. Yes, deconstruction, if we look about the term, then according to Britannica Encyclopedia, deconstruction is primarily developed by the philosopher Jacques Derrida, challenges the binary opposition and Western thought, such as speech versus writing or nature versus culture, and it also aims the expose how these oppositions are constructed through the language rather than being inherent in truth. Deconstruction does not speak to invert this page, but rather to show their instability and interdependence, interdependence, revealing that meaning is also differed and contained on the context of language. Yes, deconstruction as applied in the criticism of literature designates the theory and practices of reading which questions and claim to subvert or undermine the assumption that the system of language provides the ground that are adequate to establish the boundaries. Yes, typically we can also say that deconstructive reading sets out show that conflicting forces within the text itself serve to dissipate the seeming definiteness to the structure and maintaining into the indefinite array of incompletable and some possibilities. Yes, Jacques Derrida, if we can look about that, then Derrida was born in Algeria in 1930, was a French philosopher. He coined the term deconstruction. We all know that, and critic Western philosophy is hierarchical binary opposition. Yes, he also challenged the ideas on the ground of language, arguing meanings never fully present but always differ in the concept of difference, not a difference. Yes, a concept called difference. Yes. Derrida criticized the structuralism and moved beyond it, influencing post-structuralism, and his major works include writing and difference of grammatology and speech of phenomena. Derrida also explored the topics like Marxism and psychoanalysis and Jewish identity and later works. Yes, if we look about these other writers who have influenced or been influenced by the deconstruction, and they are three: Michel Foucault, Roland Barthes, and Jean Baudrillard. Key concept of key concept of deconstruction. If we look at this key concept, then there are four major key concepts: that binary opposition, difference, logocentrism, and aphoria. If we look about this definition of binary opposition, then language is structured around the opposites. For example, good and evil, and speech versus writing. Yes, which deconstruction seeks to the destabilize. Yes, difference. If we look about this difference, then meaning is always different, never fully present, and shaped by what is absent. That is called difference. And logocentrism, if we look, then privileging of speech over writing. Deconstruction challenges by showing that both are equally involved in meaning and making. Aphoria, we can see that movement of unresolved contradiction in the context that reveal and instability of meaning. Yes. So these are four: binary opposition, difference, logocentrism, and aphoria. These are let's now deconstruct the novel by Fou. We all know the background of the Fou, which is written by J.M. Coetzee. So it is in a way novel written in 1980. And in 1980s time, which is in a way rewriting of Robinson Crusoe, and the some kind of with the some kind of changing authorial changes, that in Robinson Crusoe there is a male representative as a author, and here Susan Barton is authoring this novel. So let us deconstruct these four. Yes, binary opposition. If we look in the four, then the speech versus silence that we find. Friday could not speak. He could make a sound, of course, but not the words. We know that what is binary opposition. That binary opposition, in a way, which shows a kind of contradictory. Yes, here we can see that Friday is could not speak, but he could make sound. Of course, but not words. Here we can see that here we can see that Friday's silence, in a way, symbolically represents something, that how it is formally in a way elaborating the ideology of Western people under the colonized people. Yes, colonizer and colonized people, how they have to struggle, that whatever the upper class wants to uh, do, they are going to do, but the marginalized people, in a way, going to suffer. They don't have right even to speak. Yes, truth versus fiction, if we can see, then it is it true? Is it false? What does it matter? Yes, here we can see the truth versus fiction. We also can connect this with the binary opposition, that here we cannot rely on this individual narrator. Yes, we have to cross check with something. Yes, difference, what we can see, that difference, in a way, it is not basically something differ from. Yes, we can also connect it with the narrative of this Susan Barton. Yes, she in a way many a time tries to elaborate Friday's story. She many a times tries to solve it, but she in a way not able to solve it. Logocentrism also in a way connect the same, that the speech and writing or both are in a way equally managed, but in Susan's narrative we don't find it. And we also in a way show that Susan Barton's narratives are controlled by this Daniel Defoe's narrator, Defoe's Susan Barton's narrator are controlled by Daniel Defoe. So in a way, she is not able to interpret the way she wants to. Yes, and Aphoria also in in a way connected with this Susan Barton's narrative and Friday's silence. Yes, again Friday's silence and Susan's narrative. If we can deeply wants to see them from deconstructionist perspective, Friday's silence challenges the assumption that speech equals power. His silence isn't a void, but form of resistance against being defined or controlled by others. Yes, in deconstruction, this silence speaks volumes. Yes, and it also resists Western norms of storytelling, where silence often, in a way, equates of powerlessness. And Susan's narrative and authority also, we find that Susan Barton as a narrator seek to control the story. However, she cannot fully control or resolve the story. Yes, here we find this logocentrism and aphoria kind of thing, which reflects the instability of authorship. And this aligns the deconstruction's critique of authority, the narrator, and the idea that meaning is not solely within the narrative's grasp. Deconstruction or deconstructing male hero narratives in James Coetzee's Foe is an example. We can see that this in a way Omar's article deals with how this male hero narrative as a traditionally portrayed yes in this James Coetzee's Foe, and it is deconstructed, yes, through the narrative techniques, themes, and character dynamics, focusing on elements such as power, voices, and perspective. Male Castaway and Robinson Crusoe, that we find that how Crusoe in a way narrating the story, it deconstructive reading, in the deconstructive reading of this Robinson Crusoe, we find that traditional portrayal as a self-reliant, yes, rational male hero could be realized critically, and uncovering his dependency on the colonial structure, hierarchies, and other characters like Friday. The text might arrogate Crusoe's heroism by highlighting the gaps, silence, and the contradictions of his narrative. And if we look about this Susan Barton's narrative, then we find that Coetzee in a way remaining introduces Susan Barton, a female castaway whose experience and voice challenge the male dominant narrative. Deconstructive approach could focus on how her perspective subverts the assumed universality of Crusoe's heroism and reveals the inassurance of female agency in the traditional narrative. We also can interpret like this, that in male castaway in Robinson Crusoe, we find that this Crusoe in a way not marginalized or not controlled by someone else, but in this James Coetzee's Foe, we find that Susan Barton, though she is narrating, she is trying to narrate herself, which is very feminine step, but though she is controlled with this someone else named Defoe. Yes, yes. Implication of deconstruction in Foe, challenges and authorial power. Yes, here I have made mistake, that challenges authorial power. It is repeated twice, but it is challenging authorial power, challenges power dynamics, and question the narrative nature of the truth. challenges authorial power, that we find that how Susan's narrative controlled by someone else, and all the things. In a way, Friday's silence showcase the marginalization and all the things, but also the authorial power of Susan Barton also suggests some kind of marginalization, challenges power dynamics, and we can see that in Friday's character, and in a way, if we compare these, the Robinson Crusoe and James Cody's Foe, the power dynamics change in the character of Crusoe itself, that in a way Robinson Crusoe, how he in a way expressed or by these by the writer, and James Cozy, how he in a way showcase ill and very dull and monotonous character. Yes, and question of the nature and truth also we find. Yes, as a binary opposition we can see. In conclusion, finally, we can say that the deconstruction as applied to James Cozy's Foe unveils the inherent instability of narratives and challenges traditional power dynamics in storytelling by focusing on the concept like binary opposition, difference, and operia. Coetzee critique the authority of narrator and question the relationship between truth and fiction. Friday's silence become a powerful symbol of resistance, while Suzanne's incomplete narrative highlights the limit of authorial control. Through this deconstruction, Foe invites reader to engage critically with the text and explore the complex replay of meaning, power, and representation. So here are some references. You can go for further references too. And thank you. That is it from my side. Now, if you have any question, then floor is open.
My question is, how can deconstruction be applied to analyze power structure in contemporary narratives?
Yes, Rahul bhai, my answer to you is the deconstruction can be applied in power structure in this contemporary time too. As we can say that binary opposition and what we can say that difference showcase that it is not going to be in a way stable or the fixed meaning. Yes, it is always going to be fluid. Yes, and also it showcase the hierarchy. Yes, so that is why that is how we can say that deconstruction can be applied this power structure.
So, yeah, my question is, how does deconstruction help us rethink the nature of truth and fiction in storytelling?
Yes, deconstruction helped us to rethink the nature and truth in a way in the see in this Susan Barton's narrative also, that how this truth and fiction showcase. Yes, and also we can say that connected with this difference concept majorly given by the Jacques Derrida, that it is not going to be stable. Yes, it is going to be in a way constantly in the fluid. Yes, so in a way this is how we can say that truth and fiction also in a way can rethink. And also we can say that in contemporary time, if we can connect with this film, then Lagan also showcases how truth and fiction and some kind of this authorial power reflect all the things. So that is it from my side. So thank you.
My topic is eco-criticism, literature, and the environment. These are my personal information. Table of contents. What is eco-criticism? Eco-criticism is a critical approach that studies the relationship between literature and the physical environment, focusing on how nature is represented in the text and how literature reflects our influences human attitudes toward the natural world.
Eco-criticism explores themes of sustainability, ecological ethics, and the impact of human activity on the environment. It raises awareness about environmental issues and promotes a deeper connection with the nature by blending literature, environmental science, and philosophy. Eco-criticism, human and nature. Anthropocentrism, human dominate nature, thinking they are very superior, and biocentrism. In that, we can see that it is giving important things to both living things and non-living things. Like all living things are equally important, promoting balance. Two stages of eco-criticism. First wave focused on protecting wilderness and raising awareness about nature. In that, we can see the example of Thoros Walden, explore living in a harmony with nature. Second wave, address city life and environmental justice. We can see that Amitabh Ghosh, the Hungry Tides, discuss human and environmental struggles in the Sundarbans. Here we can see the example of Rabindranath Tagore's Rakta Karabi and Muktadhara criticize human exploitation of nature. Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things highlights pollution and deconstruction of nature in the name of process. Ruskin Bond's No Room for a Leopard shows the effect of deforestation on animals. Literature's relationship with nature. Anthropocentric versus ecocentric views. Traditional literature often treats nature as a setting or a symbolic tool. Anthropocentrism sees human as dominant and nature as a resource of their use. Ecocentrism values all living and non-living things equally, promoting harmony and balance. Nature and place in literature. Texts are shaped by the environment and reflect human interaction with nature. Example, Elizabeth Bennet's work in Pride and Prejudice highlights nature as a more than just a backdrop, showing its influence on a character and social norms. Practical application encourage reading against the grain, focusing on environmental awareness in text. Challenges anthropocentric assumption on exploring ecological dynamics in literature. The global shift in eco-criticism. Eco-criticism has shifted from a Western-centric field to a global, inclusive perspective influenced by post-colonial theory. The concept of place is central, serving as a lens to explore how literature reflects cultural identities and environmental issues. This global turn in eco-criticism faces challenges in addressing cultural difference while recognizing the interconnectedness of human and non-human systems. To tackle these issues, an interdisciplinary approach is needed, bringing together literature, environmental studies, and social sciences to better understand global ecological crises. Emerging trends in eco-criticism. Eco-criticism has evolved from focusing on British Romanticism and American nature, writing to embracing global perspective and cultural studies, integrating social justice themes like environmental justice. The future of eco-criticism includes post-colonial environmentalism, global place attachment, and climate change anxiety. Interdisciplinary approaches, especially with gender and animal studies, are becoming crucial. Ongoing debates continue to address the tension between literary criticism and environmental activism, emphasizing the need for collaborative global approach. Eco-criticism in today's text. Eco-criticism is important as we face climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. It shows how literature can raise awareness and inspire action for the environment, focuses on sustainability, justice, and the connection between human and nature. Encourages thinking about sustainable and ethical future, promotes a more responsible way of engaging with the planet. Encourage writers and readers to think about nature and care for it. Conclusion. Eco-criticism offers a powerful lens to understand the relationship between literature and the environment. It emphasizes the importance of addressing pressing ecological issues like climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss. By exploring themes of sustainability, interconnectedness, and environmental justice, eco-criticism inspires awareness and action. Ultimately, It encourages readers and writers to reimagine a future where humans live in harmony with nature, fostering a deeper respect for planet and promoting a more sustainable way of life. These are my references. Thank you. Now, if you have any question, you can ask.
My question is, could you provide examples of literary works that explore the eco-criticism through themes of nature and the environment?
In literary works, we can see Henry David Thoreau's work, Walden, in which he is dealing with, he is normally centralized in nature and living in nature and giving the nature as a connection. Like in that, he is trying to say that nature as a growth, and he is just trying to free from that materialistic life. We can also find this work in Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. In also we can find the nature as a central theme that for many animals, and also in that main character Mowgli, he is also like living in the jungle, and all the book explore this. And also we can see Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay Nature, in which he is telling that and connecting that materialistic life about humans, and also nature as a growth of intellectual and spiritual.
My question to you is, how does a natural word serve as a character in a literary work?
A natural word serve as a character in a literary work. In a work, nature as a character, it shows the action, emotions, and also it connected with natural things. Like we can see storm as a dangerous in the forest, dark forest. We can see it creates a dangerous symbol and shows the horror. Sea, we can see that ocean as the curiosity, or ocean as a wilderness, and also we can tree as a growth. There are many natural things or natural elements we can find that include the river. We can see also river as a growth, or as an unstoppable thing. Okay, this is from my side. Thank you.
Okay, so hello everyone, very good evening. I am Unnati Barolia, and today's topic is literature's role in reflecting and reshaping queer theory. Okay, my personal information, table of content, and introduction. Queer theory has emerged as a dynamic framework for interrogating the norms of gender, sexuality, and identity. Literature as a cultural artifact plays a pivotal role in both reflecting societal discourse and reshaping theatrical pattern. By analyzing how literature portrays fluid identities, resists heteronormative constructs, and addresses intersectionality, this study highlights literature's potential to both mirror and redefine how boundaries of queer thought. Yes. Through this, we gain insight into how literature serves as a site of resistance, representation, and reinvention in the evolving discourse of queer theory. Okay, so defining queer theory, origins and core concepts. Queer theory is originated in the early 1990s from queer studies and women's studies. The term queer theory was coined by Italian-American feminist theorist Teresa de Lauretis in 1990. The term was controversial at that time, and the challenging binary notions were
that the queer studies may draw from queer theory, but often centers a real world experience of LGBTQ plus individuals. Queer theory, on the other hand, questions the very concept of stable identities. And another one is this deconstructing power structures, where sexuality is not just a personal experience. It's shaped by society. Different societies define sexuality in different ways. It examines how power structure includes traditionality, shape, and marginalized queer identities. Now, representations of queer identities in classical literature, that how interpretations and debates, that scholars debate the extent to which these representations reflect actual historical experiences. Like when we go back to the mythological stories, we often depict that gender roles and sex change are acceptable and normal, whereas a same-sex relationship are sometimes validated through divine acts like Vishnu's transformation into Mohini to interact with Shiva. And next one is queer subtext, where undermining readings can uncover layers of meaning that challenge traditional interpretations. Arjuna as Brihanala when he was during the exile and was teaching music and dance. So deities like also are Ardhanarishwar, that is Shiv and Parvati, a symbolize gender unity, symbolize gender unity and transcendence. Okay, so submersive reading, undercovering queer subtext, where the hidden one is the queer readings look beyond the surface meaning to uncover the underlying themes and desire. It highlights how queer identities have historically been excluded from mainstream narratives. We can see info as well. So challenging assumptions, that this reading questions the dominant interpretations and offer new perspectives on characters and relationships. We can see in Virginia Woolf's Orlando. The protagonist shifts gender over centuries, challenging the fixed nature of gender and showing it as a fluid and performative. Now, amplifying marginalized voices, that queer reading help to amplify the voices of marginalized characters and their experience. Literature by Tagore and Asmik Chugati and other challenges these norms by presenting stories that destabilizes binary gender roles and highlights the complex realities of desire and identity. Okay, so modern queer literature and its transformative power, as already Pallavi mentioned, she has mentioned many examples of the movies and films, so we can easily understand that cinema as a cultural force, cinema is a mirror of society, often reflecting and shaping public perceptions of LGBTQ characters, are frequently shown as negative comedy or exaggerated. Examples include male characters dressing as women for laugh in film. Like we can see that in movies, like they are shown as a character, as a comic characters to create a comic in a movie. So on. And yes, expanding representation, it offers a range of perspectives on queerness, showcasing the complexities of individual experiences. Third gender challenges the male-female binary and includes hijras, transgender individuals, and other identities. Simone de Beauvoir and Kate Millett, they are Seme is African American. So yes, and Kate Millett is a philosopher, also a writer, emphasizes females, both of them, gender as socially constructed rather than biologically determined. Okay, pedagogical implications, teaching queer literature in the classroom. Like this one is for the awareness, to create the awareness that how we can move from those considered as a taboo or as a like not considered as normal human being, to how to make it normalized, to like carry forward the normalization of them. Creating inclusive environments. This
theory challenges the idea that identities like gender and sexuality are fixed, not or natural. Instead, queer theory suggests that identities are constructed through social interactions and are fluid and performative. Queer theory helps students understand that identity is not permanent and can change depending on context and power dynamics. Challenging bias. Theory helps us understand how this power relations influence our perception of ourselves and others. Queer theory encourages us to challenge normal or dominant ideas about identity, which often limit diversity and critical thoughts. Empowering students. In a composition classroom, queer theory encourages students to think about how they tell stories of their identities, both their own and others. Okay, so concluding over here, the relationship between literature and queer theory is mutually enriching. Literature reflects the core tenets of queer theory, such as resistance to binaries and the celebration of fluidity, while also reshaping the discourse by introducing new contexts and narratives, by challenging traditional perspectives of gender and sexuality. Contemporary texts contribute to an evolving understanding of queer identities. This dynamic adaptability underscores literature's role as a transformative force in cultural and theoretical landscape. As both mirror and a mold, literature not only captures the essence of queer theory, but also pushes its boundaries, paving the way for a more inclusive and multifaceted discourse. So yes, these are my references. And thank you. Now I'm open for questions.
My question is, what role do authors play in reshaping queer?
Okay. Authors really play a good role in shaping the queer theory. As I mentioned, that to make it normalize, authors play a very great role to just bring out the surroundings, what is happening in society, and to make it normal. Their work is very much important. We can consider here Toni Morrison's work, and so yes, those works can really contribute.
Nothing. My question is, what is the relationship between literature and societal perception of queerness?
Okay. Literature and societal perception. Literature is all about as I mentioned, is about the truth, which showcases the fact which has already been done or is happening. And the societal perception. Okay, so over here, I would like to give an example of a Netflix series that is Mismatched. In that, we can see Salina and Namrata. Namrata, a best friend of Rishi. Okay, so in that, she was totally sure that she is a lesbian or gay, but when his family get to know about her reality, at that time, their family was not, her mother and father were not ready to accept it. So to normalize and to accept that reality and fact, authors and literature play a great role. So yes, thank you.
Okay, so this was the last one. So with this, we end our this season of presentations. And by and large, it was good. This time, the afternoon slot has done better as compared to the morning slot. There are lots of mistakes and errors that has been seen in the morning slot. So you have improved a lot. And many of you got full score also. So carry on with that work. Some of the good ideas like hypothesis, research questions, citations of quality articles that was done by many of you. So carry on with that. And some of you are still struggling to find that you improve. So we hope that in the last semester, things will be very good. And anything that is lacking among some of you, you all will try to recover and improve your things also. Okay? So wish you all the best for your upcoming university exams. We end the stream now.